15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, just forget everything that happened last week. Now the 49ers and Aiyuk want to work it out. Welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. You're so lucky, Pearl. You missed a week's worth of will they, won't they trade Brandon Aiyuk, and you're basically just back to the same spot before you left for vacation.
What are you talking about? It's been a 6-month Brandon Aiyuk odyssey. Like, Brandon Aiyuk is more important than Patrick Mahomes, Dak Prescott, and Joe Burrow combined. Has any player who's probably the 11th best wide receiver in the NFL gotten more ink than this dude? It's a negotiation that's just, it's getting out of control. Just do something.
Okay, definitely not the 11th best wide receiver. Let's put a little more respect on his name, right? I mean, he's in a group that's first team, second team, all pro coming off of last year. So he's in the same conversation with the Amon-Ra St. Browns and guys like that. He just wants to be paid like those guys.
Okay. You say he's not the 11th best wide receiver. The Niners are much smarter than you, and they're much smarter than me, and they don't value him like that. Then why are you all of a sudden he's a top? I mean, he's not a top 5 receiver. He's between 5 and 10. Will you give me that?
I'll give you that. And we can split hairs, but I think he is very important to them. And I know that he's important to them because now they're back to the negotiating table. And if he really wasn't important, I think he would have said, make this happen with New England. We're going to make this happen with Cleveland. We're going to make this happen with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and we're going to stay here and hammer out a trade, and nobody's like leaving the table until we get this thing done. And the thing about the 49ers, you say that they're smarter than us. They have more information than us.
Right.
But sometimes I don't know if they're smarter.
Oh,
because
come on.
they handed Brandon Aiyuk the leverage. And here's how they got outsmarted by the player. They could have had this deal done with New England. And because Aiyuk was cagey about it and wouldn't give New England a good vibe that he would resign, all of a sudden the best haul they could have gotten is off the table. Now, listen, there's still a chance for them to save this, and that would be re-signing Aiyuk, which I guess is back on the table after a meeting, according to insider Jordan Schultz and friend of the show, a meeting where there were a lot of some of the air was cleared, allegedly. It's very candid conversations happened. So now we're back on the path to contract extension.
Yeah, I think you and I just view the whole situation differently. I think the Niners think, hey, we drafted Brandon Aiyuk at the bottom half of the first round. We can draft another Brandon Aiyuk at the bottom half of the first round. And I think, by the way, John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan are definitely smarter than us. I mean, I think that they think they're really good at evaluating this spot, and they can churn through this. At a certain point, you're paying Kyle Shanahan all this money. You're going to pay Brock Purdy all this money. Like, what are you paying them for? You're paying them to turn all these receivers into stars. So I think that they really believe that. I think they view Brandon Aiyuk not as a star the way that we do. I think they view him as a system piece.
See, he's also somebody, though, that they drafted, they developed, and panned out. You know, like whether you're the best system guy in the world, you have the sure thing here when you're in a season that, again, I think there's more pressure on the 49ers than almost any other team in the entire NFL.
Then why didn't they just make sure that they sign him at $33 million a year?
Great question.
Because they don't view
question.
him that way. Because what did they do? What's the main thing they did this offseason? They drafted his replacement.
Who's been hurt.
I know. I think that's sort of a bummer for the Niners, but he'll be back, and it's not hurt for the year. I just think that they're like, we're the Niners. We've been, at a certain point, we're going to have to not pay somebody. You can't pay everybody, Maggie.
Well, they still have Trent Williams out there, too, who needs a new contract or needs some more guaranteed money. Let's hear from Adam Schefter. So this is the difference, and this is the change in the trade wins, if you will, remember last week, there was a framework of a deal in place, and insiders in the Bay Area were saying a trade is imminent. That was the wording, imminent. Now here's Adam Schefter yesterday on the Pat McAfee show. Now the Niners want to keep Aiyuk.
Now it looks like the focus and emphasis is on keeping him in San Francisco and not trading him. But I would say that this has had many twists and turns to it. And until there's final resolution, you don't know. But the 49ers want to keep him. They don't want to trade him. They've never wanted to trade him.
See, I think that's horseradish, as Tyreek Hill would call it. I think that's horseradish because they were shopping him before the draft and they were just had a framework in place. And I think why would you be looking to trade somebody before the draft if you actually want to keep them? That doesn't make sense to me. They were looking for, a first-round pick from the Jaguars. They were looking for, they were asking for the sun and moon and stars. I get that. But if you really love a guy, you really think that they are, totally integral. I don't believe a lot of this stuff from the 49ers. I think that they're trying to patch it up now, which is fine, and money will ultimately be the thing that patches it up the most. But this is disingenuous to say they never wanted to trade him.
Well, because the reality is he's not a singular piece for them. I mean, he's a part of a whole. So they're like, oh, well, we could give away, if we get a first-round pick. I just think back to Tyreek Hill and Devontae Adams. I mean, those guys are there. Will you give me that they're a different level above Brandon Aiyuk? At least proven so far.
Maybe it feels like a waste, especially with the Adams.
So Hill got low 20s, a draft pick, and Adams got a low 20s pick. So I think the Niners are like, well, listen, the Chiefs traded Tyreek Hill and won 2 Super Bowls. Right. The Packers traded Devontae Adams and got better. So I think that's sort of where the model they were looking at. Wow, we can trade this. If we get a first-round pick, we can load up with a cheap receiver moving forward. I think they're looking at a bigger picture team building. But if they're not going to get something good in return, then what's the point? Might as well keep them.
Okay, but again, keeping them, we're talking about Brandon Aiyuk, the 49ers, day 1,000 of this situation. Yes, we get it, but now the new information has come out that all parties are back to the table, which hadn't happened in quite some time, and they're trying to work something out.
Well,
Here's my question.
Okay.
Yeah, right. What choice do they have?
Yeah.
They're kind of married, even if they don't want to be. Is this more a 1-year deal? Let's throw them a few more guarantees. We've seen this happen with a lot of guys before, like Chris Jones and Saquon Barkley, and teams have done this. Hey, we'll give you a little more this year just to keep you happy, and then we'll see what happens after the season. Or is this actually a long-term deal that gets hammered out? We don't know.
Well, they have no incentive to do a short-term deal because then...
Well, you're saying if he's not worth it and they already drafted his replacement, then
but if
there would be.
Because they got to get something in return. Basically, if they could at least get a second-round pick, short term, eventually they'd get a comp pick. That's not good enough. They have to get at least a second-round pick. They're trying to look at the money. Where are we going to we want to get a cheaper receiver who's good. They want to, now it's like a quarterback. They want that 5-year deal on the wide receiver. If they can't get that, then they're like, okay, well, then let's just pay Aiyuk and try and find a way to cut corners somewhere else. It's a big chessboard for them where they're just trying to figure out their salary cap, right? This is all about the cap.
Totally, but that's also not Brandon Aiyuk's problem. That's the 49ers problem. So he shouldn't be taking discounts, or he shouldn't. I know the fan base might be upset about that, but look at what he did. Look at from his vantage point. And I'm not saying he's handled everything right. You're out on social media basically saying you want to get traded. That's not a great look. But he's watched this happen with Deebo Samuel. He watched this happen with Nick Bosa. He's watched it happen with Christian McCaffrey. He's watched it happen now with Trent Williams, who's probably going to get paid. He's watched guys who have either been any kind of degree of a problem, holding in, holding out, making their feelings known to the organization, and he's watched all those guys get paid. And you might say he's not as important, and I might agree with you, but he's just looking at the market. For the production that I've given you, and for what I'm doing on the field, this is how guys like me are getting paid. It's like Tua. You might not think Tua's a great quarterback, but Tua will say, for what I've done and the production I've done, here's sort of the tax bracket I'm in. And so that's what Aiyuk's saying. And it's up to the 49ers to figure out the cap stuff, not Aiyuk to take some kind of pay cut or something like that.
Oh, I totally agree. But what do the Niners care about Brandon Aiyuk in a sense? That's all from this is what we've learned this entire summer. Everybody's negotiating. It's just a negotiation and it's a leverage play.
Right.
And if you talked about leverage a lot in this situation, the Niners, I don't think they care about making Brandon Aiyuk happy. That might be their mistake. They're just like, well, we're going to play hardball with you. Because at a certain point, they got to play hardball with somebody. They've been handing out money like it's going away. So I just think that they're trying to figure out their chessboard. You're right. Aiyuk, that's not his problem. Aiyuk should push for the best deal possible. So I think it's funny enough all going to work out and he's going to resign there. It's probably going to be a 4-year deal. Just like Deebo. Deebo was pretty mad at them too.
Yeah.
And that all worked out. So at the end of the day, I ask you this, Maggie, does this hurt the Niners long term? All this chaos and noise around this particular situation.
Listen, I don't think it's been a banner offseason for them, to be honest. I mean, you got McCaffrey done, okay, but now he's tweaked his calf and he's out until the season starts. It may not matter. Trent Williams probably wasn't going to be practicing and playing that much anyway, considering he's a veteran. But no, I wouldn't call it an amazing offseason. And this is the thing, it's already hard enough to try to get the mojo back after a devastating loss in the Super Bowl like they had. I mean, that we saw from that expose about your Philadelphia Eagles, your team was 10-1 and everyone was walking around with their heads down because they had just come off that close loss to the Super Bowl. I think there is a reason why the Patriots 20 years ago are the only team who was able to get back to the big game after losing it the year before. It takes a toll on everybody. And they had not unprecedented health, but they had some very good health last year when it mattered. I know they lost Dre Greenlaw, but when it mattered, and now they're starting off the year, and it's like they canceled the joint practice, which
right.
Kyle Shanahan says are more important than preseason games because so many guys have been hurt. So, no, I don't. If I'm a 49er fan, I don't feel amazing about how things have gone.
But that's nothing by design. So you're saying Christian McCaffrey hurt his calf. That's
everything
not
all together.
But I'm just saying none of that is like, there's two separate issues. There's front office moves with Brandon Aiyuk, and like, yeah, there's some bad luck with injuries, but that has nothing to do with the negotiation or the way they built this team. You have to give them credit. I mean, they've stuck around. They were in the Super Bowl in 19, and they've stayed at the top. Like, they're doing something right.
Yep.
I just generally give them more credit. And hey, maybe they take a small step back this year. They're going to pay Brock Purdy in the offseason, right, which can make everything more difficult. But they're looking at a long window of success here. I mean, I say what you want about the Niners. I do think they're pretty smart. I think they're smarter than the average team. And I understand they're playing hardball here with Aiyuk. But again, we just view Aiyuk differently. Like,
yeah. I think he's very important. I think his chemistry with Purdy is really tight. I think he averages 18 yards a catch. Like, I think that's extremely valuable.
Has dude ever seen a double team?
Weapons.
Has he ever seen a double team? Also, what did he do in the Super Bowl? Also,
what did he do in the NFC Championship game?
When did they lose? Yeah, he got lucky on one long pass.
He saved the game.
He
saved the season.
Hit somebody's helmet and bounced up to him.
It was him who made the catch.
It was the butterflies credit, that not Brandon Aiyuk.
Oh, I forgot about that.
No, I mean, honestly, when did the Niners lose last year? What was their little mini losing streak during the regular season? Who was out? It wasn't Brandon Aiyuk who was out.
Trent
it was
Williams.
Deebo Samuel who was out. It was
Trent.
Deebo, but mainly Deebo. Like, they were lost without that dude. Honestly, I just think that I understand the situation here, but I just think this is a bigger system than just one player. And he's not Jerry Rice or Terrell Owens. He's Calvin Ridley.
He's better than Calvin.
Calvin Ridley had a 1,400-yard receiving season.
I think
Calvin Ridley's gotten paid.
But yeah, Calvin Ridley did get paid. But did he average 18 yards a catch?
He's not in San Francisco. He would tear it up if he was in San Francisco, where he never sees anybody covering him. He's got the second quarterback on him.
But here's the thing: if we had Brandon Aiyuk was given, I think he's CeeDee Lamb, but if he was given the amount of like the number one option, maybe his production would be even higher.
Why did nobody want to give up a first round pick for him?
Because you got to pay him too. And I think you're seeing a line in the sand here with teams who are going to be shelling out 30 plus for wide receivers and teams that aren't. And you called it. You said wide receivers the new running back and this bubble's going to burst. And, we're at the top right now of a wide receiver getting paid. And I think some teams like the Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs are saying, no, thank you.
What if JaMarrChase was on this market? Do you think he would garner a first round pick?
Again, you got to pay him. How much is Chase? Okay,
he's JaMarChase.
But that's not like a knock on Brandon Aiyuk that you're not one of the top 3 receivers in the league if you're top 6 or 7. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, but I do think it's slightly significant. It feels like the Niners don't need Brandon Aiyuk as bad as other teams might need a receiver.
I'd be careful, like the grass could be greener there. And you're right. They have a lot of options. They've got Kittle. They've got McCaffrey. They've got Deebo. Yeah. Injuries. All 3 of those guys. And that's what I would be concerned about also. It's like, yeah, you have a lot of guys, but you need a lot of guys to get through a season. The 49ers have proven that.
Yeah, I mean, and listen, why is Shanahan there if he's not going to brilliant up the whole thing? He's going to scheme this up to find somebody. That's what he does. I mean, think about all his offenses through the years. It's never been like, oh, man, I need the most talented receiver. He's going to run this bootleg, and somebody's going to get open, and you didn't even think. And Jawan Jennings will be wide open 20 yards up.
He got a raise.
I'm just telling you, well, he actually, his money is quite reasonable.
Yeah, it's
I just think that at a certain point, this is what you have, the best offensive coach in the league, and this is why you're going to pay your quarterback $60 million a year. You just can't pay everybody, Maggie. I know you want to. I know you're very generous.
I do want to pay everybody.
But this is
especially us.
A real problem for the Niners is like they have all these old guys who are getting paid a lot. They have to, and then they're going to pay Purdy. They have to build a team. You can't put all of them. It's not just like you get a $40 million a year, you get $40 million. At a certain point, you have to build an entire team here. And also, by the way, you're not even mentioning the lead for this morning about the Niners. They have a new receiver in town.
Who?
Robbie Chosen signed last night for 1 year.
I saw that.
I mean, why are we even talking about Brandon Aiyuk when we have the Chosen one?
Yeah, he's going to fix everything. That guy is a trip. I mean, changed his last name to Chosen from Robbie Anderson, if you remember him back in the day.
Then he went to Chosen Robin. Yeah, he's changed it like a million
is that the
times.
first name now?
He did that for a while. Remember he changed his name like 3 times? I hope he makes the team because the content would be unbelievable.
I once saw him in a Jets locker room, and he was on, after a game, what were those things called? Hoverboards?
Yes.
Like, not the one from Back to the Future that really hovered, but the thing with the 2 wheels. And, like, after a professional football game, guys are, like, doing interviews and getting stuff on the locker room, and just all of a sudden, who zooms past, like, basically in a cloud of dust?
Unbelievable.
Chosen Anderson.
Do you remember when he
Anderson.
didn't know that viral video when he couldn't figure out what the Panthers mascot was?
Yeah, he said, "What's that bear doing?"
It's great lines.
I just watch that video every once in a while just because.
Do you enjoy that as much as I do?
I do. Sir Purr. I have that whole thing memorized. I can do it.
What's the line?
So it's Sir Purr. Goes Sir Purr like that. They go, yeah. He goes, and they just show him dancing in an empty stadium because it's COVID.
What's that bear doing up there?
Yeah. Sir Purr.
Yeah.
He's not the sharpest.
Brandon who? We got Robbie Chosen in camp. Man, I would like to see the Niners just not Aiyuk go away, Debo get hurt. Like they'll pull 4 wide receivers off the street, and Kyle Shanahan will find a way to make them open.
855-212-4227. Your outlook on the 49ers. If you're a fan, are you happy now that these two sides are back to the table and that a long-term extension could be possible for Aiyuk? Are you frustrated? And how do you feel about this season? 855-212-4227. See you guys on the phones. Let's do it. We've got a lot on the docket today. How do we ever get this much into a show? It's impossible. We have one All-Pro challenging an Olympic sprinter to a race. Ladies and gentlemen, I rest my case. We've got a lot to do today. We'll get to it next. It's Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff. All right, we see you on the phone lines, but real quick, I started the show, said, Brandon Aiyuk's like, why are you going to dedicate so much ink to the 11th best receiver in the NFL? I did my list, and I have him at number 11.
Wait, hold on. Save the list for 1 second. You did top 10 quarterbacks, or top 10 wide receivers, pardon me, who are better than Brandon Aiyuk.
Back of the napkin, yeah.
Okay, hold that thought. George is on the line from Los Angeles. George, you have a thought on what the fate of the 49ers this year?
Well, I think they're going to take a step backwards. Good morning, Maggie and Perloff. They got a lot of issues, injuries, and it's just hard to keep going every year. And my Rams are, I'm not trying to be a homer, but they're very, very hungry and very, very motivated, McVay and Snead and the whole group. And I think Seattle is going to get better, too, because of the defensive coach. And even Arizona is going to be better. And I think the 49ers have had their run, and it's going to end, unfortunately, for them.
You know, George, I get it. You're high on the Rams. You guys have also dealt with a fair amount of injuries, especially across the offensive line. You kind of have that in common right now with the 49ers, these sort of early camp injuries. Listen, I think the Rams are a playoff team. George, thank you for the call. Good to hear from you, pal. I think the Rams are a playoff team, definitely, if Stafford's healthy.
He hit on an important note, though, by the way, that the buzz around Mike McDonald and the Seahawks is like fever pitch. Like, not just a team. Like, this is the natural, this coach. Like, he's going to make them so tough and so good immediately. Like, he's John Harbaugh 2.0. That is a good point. It is a bit messy this year for the Niners, but we kind of thought that before. Like, there's a lot of, like, nobody's challenged them. It's been a 5 years run, like, where I know the Rams beat them every time, but still, I think the Rams won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, right.
But I just feel like we've been predicting the Shanahan Niners demise before, and they've still been pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I think even the most staunch 49er fan who's drinking the strongest Kool-Aid would tell you this is not ideal way. You want everything kind of harmonious as much as they can be, copacetic going into the season, and it's definitely not been that. I mean, Trent Williams still is not there. I mean, he's getting fined. Did you know this? I heard this from Mike Lombardi. We'll get to your top 10 wide receivers just a second. Did you know that guys get fined full game checks for missing preseason games?
No, I did not.
The former GM, Michael Lombardi, said that on his podcast. I was like, get out of here. So you're telling me Trent Williams just got fined basically $1 million for missing that preseason game?
I thought it was
That's
a mandatory 50,000 mark that was all, okay, that's just a practice. Like, I know Haason Reddick's losing $50,000 a practice.
Yeah, it's like between 20 and 50,000, I think, depending on how much service time you've put in the league. But I did not know you lose a full game check for a preseason game. It's like, wow, that feels punitive.
One more thing about the Niners. You say that everything is negative, but like they didn't have a defense last year. They got, like, they were not, all of a sudden they had the best defense in the league, completely fell off a cliff. Like they got torched by Detroit and Green Bay at certain points of that game. Like none of that, like great 49ers defense. What if that came back? Like,
who have they added?
They've added a new coach.
Well, okay, new coach.
They
That's
got
great.
rid of Steve Wilkes. Like they went from number 1 in the league to number 8 in the league overnight. Like, and they still made the Super Bowl. What if all of a sudden Nick Bosa has a little help and there's more than one player on that? What if Fred Warner plays well again? Like, what if
he's hurt right now? But yeah.
I mean, like, what if all of a sudden that defense comes back? Because we completely forgot about that unit last year. Do you remember a big play they made at all? I mean, yes, I guess at the very end of the season, but. No, they. I think there's reason for optimism. They were a defense first team for a large chunk of this little run, and last year they were not at all.
It depends how you looked at that game against the Lions. Did you look at that game as Dan Campbell going for it on fourth downs and those just not working, or did you look at that as the 49ers defense disrupting what the Lions were trying to do on?
I mean, the Lions scored 31 points. That was not happening.
Not in the second half.
That was not happening 4 years ago.
Fair.
Yeah.
Okay, you got back of the envelope, 10 wide receivers you'd rather have than Brandon Aiyuk or who are better than Brandon Aiyuk?
Well, I said he's 11th best receiver. Okay. Tell me which ones you do not buy. Tyreek Hill.
Ding. Yeah. No,
CeeDee Lamb.
I'll tell you when I disagree.
CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah. Sorry. JaMarrChase.
Yeah.
Devontae Adams.
Yep.
Justin Jefferson. Amon-Ra St. Brown. DK Metcalf. A.J. Brown. Here's where Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp.
Nope.
Baller.
You're hurt.
Is he? He'll play this year. He's fine.
He's not. Well, maybe he's fine this year.
So you think Brandon Aiyuk's better than Cooper Kupp?
Yeah, I do.
Cooper Kupp almost broke the single season record.
Okay, and what's happened since?
Okay. I think. Did I say? DK Metcalf.
Yep. Okay, I'll go with you on that.
So 9. Now my 10th is where you're gonna. Probably.
You said Metcalf twice.
Oh, I did. Okay.
Yes.
Malik Neighbors.
Hey, Bogus.
Malik Neighbors.
Oh yeah.
I throw Devontae Smith in there. Nelson
Bogus will
Aguilar.
be happy
You
about
give me an
Neighbors.
open draft and you put Brandon Aiyuk and Malik Neighbors. I mean, that guy's already a star. I'm ready to go on Malik Neighbors. I was tempted to put Marvin Harrison Jr. on there too. Yeah. So
I mean, you might really be able to say DJ Moore. Did you? I don't think you said him.
Yeah, I didn't want to do DJ Moore because what do we know about DJ Moore? He's pretty low profile.
Catches passes from God knows who, God knows when, and didn't have to do anything to get a new contract. They basically just walked him in one day to the office. It's like, hey, your agents are here. It's like, oh, hey guys, like, would you like $110 million?
I didn't put Puka. I chose Cooper Kupp over him. Those are both kind of system. There are a lot of guys I didn't put your guys. Stephon Diggs, kind of older, right?
Well, Pat's got one for you, Pat Boyle.
Yeah, Garrett Wilson. The numbers he has put up with a
Garrett
collection of
Wilson.
stiffs thrown in the football the last 2 years.
Definitely.
Okay, but here's the thing. You're acting like Brandon Aiyuk's not in this conversation, and I think that's just not right.
I feel like he's a level below all those guys we just said.
Okay.
I feel like he's in the Michael Pittman, Calvin Ridley.
No. So here's
Pittman's really good.
Okay,
Michael Pittman's really good.
Yeah, and he got paid too. So here's the thing. These are the all-pros, first team and second team, of which Brandon Aiyuk was second team all-pro. So you got Lamb, Tyreek Hill, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Brandon Aiyuk, Nico Collins, A.J. Brown, Puka Nacua, DJ Moore, Mike Evans. He belongs in that category. So it's not like, yeah, you could give me some more that you might rather have, but he's still in this conversation. It's not like I disagree that he's Michael Pittman. And
So, I mean, Deebo Samuel's been an all-pro. Do you have Aiyuk over Deebo just because of age?
I think people love Debo Samuel.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, we're talking 12, 13, 14. Like, you go down the list, he's in the mix somewhere between 6 and 20. I mean, that's my point. He's not a singular guy. He's with so many guys like DJ Moore, where he's right around the same number.
Those guys are all getting paid, dude.
Yeah, so exactly. So pay him. They'll pay him $30 million, but they're not going to lose sleep over this. Well, I don't think that they're that scared to pay him in the high 20s. What did DJ Moore get? He got 30. But anyway, yeah, like that's where I'm sure he wants to get paid like Justin Jefferson. I'm sure they're like, we'll pay you like in this mix of where, high 20s where all these other receivers are. I think they have him between 8 and 20, not 1 to 8.
Yeah, so DJ Moore, $27.5 million with $43.5 guaranteed.
Yeah,
81 in practical guaranteed.
I'm sure they're fine giving him that contract, and that's probably where they'll end up settling. He turned down reportedly above 30 from the Patriots. That was not enough for him.
Well, there might be a little Patriots tax there because you're going to be bad for a while.
Right, so he's just in the mix of all these guys. So we're talking, for the 11th best wide receiver, is this really who we're taking the whole NFL offseason and grinding it to a halt to talk about this guy every day? Like, he's getting too much attention.
No, we've also talked about the Steelers quarterback
I'm not
situation.
saying us. I'm not saying.
We also have a Justin Fields, Russell Wilson controversy. Don't worry, we'll spread it around from coast to coast.
Not us. I meant us as like a whole NFL nation. I think everybody's just spending too much time on Brandon Aiyuk. I mean, the Niners must be so sick of this whole. They must be like, God, I wish we just paid him in March just for not having to deal with this headache.
Well, if they're sick of it, look in the mirror. Because you're complicit in it. So, I can't really feel a lot of sympathy. We'll get back to this conversation in a second. EJ, I know you want to get in on this, but let's let Bogusch do a couple headlines, and we'll circle back to the convo. Bogues, what else is going on in the world today?
Guys, good morning. All the headlines are sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Protect your home and auto. Save when you bundle. Get a quote at Progressive.com. It appears we broke even yesterday on the Noah Lyles beef front. The gold and bronze medalist now says he has no issue with Anthony Edwards and or his signature Adidas shoe. As we discussed yesterday, Lyles told Time magazine back in June he was insulted by an invite from Adidas to Edwards' shoe release party since he was still locked in his own negotiations with the company. Lyles tweeted yesterday he simply could not go to the party because of schedule conflicts, and he congratulated Edwards on his gold medal from Paris. But with that out of the way, we now have Lyles v. Tyreek Hill, the Dolphins receiver, sounding a little like Maggie.
Noah Lyles can't say nothing after what just happened to him. You know what I'm saying? Then he want to come out and pretend like he's sick. I feel like that's like horseradish.
Don't do that. I don't think he was faking a positive COVID test. That'd be diabolical. Also, wouldn't make a lot of sense, would it?
I mean, I guess if you were like, why did I run so poorly? Like, my throat hurts.
Actually, I'm sick.
Yeah.
I don't want to be in the same sentence as Tyreek Hill for a lot of reasons. But I want to see this happen. It's not going to happen, and I'm bummed.
Do you guys remember when Tyreek Hill did run that race and he blew out the field?
Yes,
and it turned out like some of those guys were not even like, they were just like normal dudes.
Yeah, it was like weekend warrior.
Like a dentist who just found track shoes somewhere or didn't even have track shoes.
Yes,
Did
one
we have
guy
a
that
guy
was
on
running
the
in
show?
jean shorts.
Did we have a guy on the show who raced Tyreek Hill? And he's like, yeah, I just sort of showed up. So I
Dynamite booking from Mike Schefter in the afternoon, I think.
Wait. We all agree, by the way, that
does he work here still?
Noah Lyles on his deathbed could outrun Tyreek Hill backwards, right? Because track speed is so different than football speed.
But isn't he the one guy we were like, maybe?
No.
Don't you want to see it? And not this BS where it's like Tyreek Hill's going to race a shark and then it's some CGI thing. It wasn't even a real shark.
Michael Phelps for a shark?
Yeah, that's what it was. It wasn't even a real shark.
Well, Lyles would beat him by 20 yards, right? Isn't that how it works? In reality, he would destroy him.
Well, I mean, Lyles is at the top of his form right now, but so is Tyreek Hill. Maybe Tyreek Hill 5 years ago. Maybe we're getting to this a little late.
I think Tyreek Hill ran track, and like we could check his peak times when he was 21. I'm curious how they actually measure up.
So here's the thing: we're actually going to talk to Sean Gregory from Time, who wrote this big article about Noah Lyles. That now he's kind of taking issue with some of the details. And Sean is salt of the earth guy, amazing reporter, and we've been friends for a while. So we're going to talk to him. But here's the thing: Lyles makes it very clear. He wants gold medals, yes. He also wants to get famous. He wants to be as famous as possible. He wants to be the Usain Bolt in America. He wants to be the face of everything. If I were him and I'm trying to get as famous as I possibly can, I'm doing this Tyreek Hill thing in the offseason.
Yep.
Why not? He's got, I mean, I know technically he would have something to lose if he lost to Hill. It'd be embarrassing, but like, who cares?
Right. Well, I mean, you cared last week when you said he didn't win by enough to celebrate. If he lost to Tyreek Hill, he'd have to become a nomad.
I'd love to revisit my mentions if he lost to Tyreek Hill.
If he loses to a civilian, he can't ever do anything again.
He's not losing to a 31-year-old Tyreek Hill.
Probably not.
On any given Sunday type of thing, though. It is like if it's one race, Noah
Sure.
Lyles
What if he
doesn't
gets
get out of the
scurvy
blocks
the night before?
I'm not sure the
Making it
100-meter. I don't know if a race like that has an any given Sunday feel. Like,
maybe not. I have no idea.
yeah, it's kind of like.
It's not like we're putting out bogish with him. It's like he's no offense.
No, I mean, I get it.
I'm just saying Tyreek Hill might be one of the best we can offer outside, like from the NFL.
Right.
He's still the fastest.
I wish he was a little younger.
Yeah, Xavier Worthy.
Right. Xavier. Yeah, I mean, I would
he's
assume
done blowing past the Bills secondary. I'm sure he'll have plenty of time.
I assume Noah. That's who you have to do a younger. If you could go back in time and have a 22-year-old Tyreek Hill, that would be great. But I assume you lose some speed.
What about the freeze? The freeze from the Braves.
From the Braves games?
Yeah.
The guy who, if you're not familiar with this, someone runs around the perimeter of the ballpark. A fan gets a head start after they've had probably 7 beers and 2 pounds of nachos, and they start running in the 7th inning or whatever, and this fast guy in an all-green suit catches up to him and usually wins.
I think the freeze could match up with him. He may lose, but I think he could.
Is the freeze one guy, by the way, or you think they have multiple freezes?
You gotta have multiple freezes. It's 80-something games that you're running around the track. So yeah.
Do both of them have to wear that sort of skin-tight body uniform?
Should.
Yeah.
So Lyles does too.
Oh.
Or does he get to go normal? I think I like your rule. He has to eat a certain amount of nachos and beer before too.
EJ, you wanted to get in on this.
Yeah, I mean, according to Bleacher Report, apparently Tyreek Hill's best time in the 100 is 10:19. That would have finished last place in the finals of the 100 meter in this Olympic race.
Of course.
Not just last. That'd be dead last.
Yeah, I mean, some guy from Jamaica ran 9:91. He finished last in that race, that thriller. And Noah Lyles, of course, ran 9:79. So I know that only sounds like a half second, but watching that would look like, it would look like tortoise versus the hare in real life if Noah Lyles went up against Tyreek Hill.
Still want to see it.
Oh, yeah, definitely want to see it. I like Bogus' idea. Replace Tyreek Hill with Xavier Worthy and let's go. But then again, I think I assume Noah Lyles would destroy him too.
Yeah,
because you have to be practicing the 100 all year round.
And don't forget the math in case anyone's not with the metric system. 100 meters is over 300 feet. So it's 3 football fields. So it's
300 yards.
300 feet.
No, but a football field's 100 yards.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
The metric system is a bugaboo.
Never mind.
I do get it.
I got nothing.
2-1.
And back to you, Pete. People unfamiliar like myself with conversion and Europe. But it's still not a 40-yard dash. That's what I was getting
That's true.
to.
It's not the combine.
The 4.240 sounds funny, but you got to do that like 2.5 times, right, to get to 100.
Wait,
Kaplan's
what?
roasting you in the
He
chat.
should.
Travis said math is hard.
It is.
It's true. That's why I don't do it on the air.
I would like to know. What's the 40? It's 40 yards, right?
Right.
Because that's how long a punt is in the air, according to Gil Brandon. That's where they came up with the 40-yard dash.
Oh, is that it?
Is that it, really?
Right. That's where it started. So I believe
It's a measurement for the gunner guy? That's where this all started?
I believe Gil Brandt invented this whole stupid thing.
That's as good a reason as any.
Yeah, why not?
Why we even make offensive linemen run it is the dumbest thing on earth.
Don't take that away from us. That's the one moment where we feel like I could be an NFL player when we see those guys running. But how many 40-yard dashes are there in 100 meters? We have to figure this out. And honestly, I think
don't ask me.
we need a math major. Pat Boyle's here.
Yeah, Pat, you can do this stuff.
How many meters in a 40-yard dash?
No, you get a 40. Yeah.
Yeah, what was Mr. Brown's white horse name? No.
So, Bogus is a 40-yard dash. What percentage of the 100-meter race is that? Like, is that like, do you have to run 2 40-yard dashes to get to 100 meters, something like that?
Off the top of my head, and I'll double check, but I always thought it was basically 1 yard is 1 meter.
I think it's close.
Right, so it's about 2.5, right?
40-yard dash is 40% of a 100-meter dash.
Right, so 40 plus 40 is 80, and another 20, so it's about 2.5 40-yard dashes. So there is still some longevity to that race. And you're going to lose.
It
You're
takes
going to
9
lose some
seconds,
time.
not 4.5 seconds.
Yeah, 1 meter is 1.09 yards.
Yeah, these guys
So
are not winning.
You'd have to run 2.5 40-yard dashes.
We could do math.
Pat can do math.
Yes.
So
we
if somebody
found that
runs-
out
if
one day
somebody
when
runs a-
Perloff versus Pat taking an SAT prep.
If somebody runs a 4.2 40, that means they would run an 8.4 80, assuming they run the same speed. And then they would run. It would be another 2.1 seconds on top of that. It'd be 10.5 seconds.
Yep.
For a 100 meter if you run a 4.2 40. But then again, you have to account for slowing down.
Dude, the more fun thing sounds like making Noah Lyles run a 40-yard dash. I want to see that number.
Well, he doesn't get out of the blocks that well. That's his whole thing. So
Right.
it might not be as impressive as we think.
Yeah, or would you say that guys that run a 4.2 40, they could run even faster because you have more time at your top speed?
Yeah.
I mean, is this insulting to Noah Lyles that we're breaking down like this would be a real race?
Just because it's Tyreek Hill.
It'd be fun. Now the question is, can we put a helmet on Noah Lyles? See if he can go over the middle.
Who was it? Marquise Goodwin? Wasn't he an Olympic sprinter? He
Yeah.
played for the Bills.
I mean, Skeets Nehemiah. Gold. I think he won a gold. What?
Is Zubak?
That was his name.
Skeets?
Yes.
Ronaldo Skeets Nehemiah. Yeah.
If you say so.
Not like in a Lil John kind of way. I almost said Lil Wayne. Not
you
like
guys-
that.
I've never heard Skeets Nehemiah.
I
where'd
think,
you get-
honestly, I don't even
Hey,
think he used his
Skeets,
name
how'd you get your
Ronaldo.
nickname?
Honestly, he was known as Skeets Nehemiah. That was it.
When?
I had like 1985.
Someone's not
Yeah,
familiar.
I'm too young.
Two other people. This is where the disconnect is here. Perloff's not familiar with the Lil Jon song, and Pat's not familiar, or Pete or Bogish is not familiar with this
I'm
athlete.
not familiar with any of it.
It's Lil Jon, right?
You guys have never looked at a list of track players who've tried out for the NFL?
No.
That's, oh my God.
This
Marquise
is Perloff.
Goodwin?
This is a Tuesday, bro.
Are you crazy? You've never wondered how Usain Bolt
Coming to
would do in the
Athlon next
NFL?
Thursday.
Track Tuesday.
You've never wondered like what would Usain Bolt do and what's the pass? Because a lot of track guys, obviously Bullet Bob Hayes.
Heard of him.
Yeah, this is a thing. Anyway,
I'm not saying it's not a thing. I just specifically have never
You knew
heard who
Skeets
Skeets
Nehemiah.
Nehemiah
I've
was.
heard of him before, probably from listening to the DP show for all the years that I did. I feel like you guys, but it's just funny to me that Skeets is now kind of something else in the slang.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do it in a plane on a long flight.
sorry, he did not win the gold medal because he was part of the 1980 team that did not get to compete. But he was the strong favorite to win the hurdles. Then he had a 4-year NFL career. Pretty interesting guy.
EJ, I saw that. To the window, to the wall.
To the window, to the wall.
Don't do the next lyric. 855-212-4222. Yeah. I'm not
Have you
even
guys
going
heard
to
of
say
Carl
anything.
Lewis?
Yes.
Okay.
Because he's not Skeets Nehemiah.
Oh, this guy was huge. He would be on he would be on Wide World of Sports. He'd do that race where the different networks race against each other. Like he was a big celebrity.
Battle of the Network Stars?
Yeah, he was in that whole world. I think he was friends with OJ. He was the man.
Great. At age 12, just like the nickname.
Number 3 right on the resume.
Kevin from San Antonio is asking if we have an abacus on the show. We're getting one. We need one. you know, he's friends with OJ.
And he ran against Brooke Shields in 1984.
I made that up about friends with OJ. I just assumed he was.
Oh
Yeah,
my
they taught Ray Lewis everything he knows.
good grief.
That's Pat Boyle.
This is the libel section of the show.
Yeah, this is reckless. Coming up, the Jets are doing something dumb. I don't know how to save this.
Defamation continues.
We're back in a minute.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Believe Belotti's got something to say. Infinity's mice. He's feeling the dismay. No NBA on NBC, what a shame. Just JJ Redick's wine ain't the same. Peter Bellotti is getting upset. Maggie, Perloff, can you hear his plea? Bring back the NBA on NBC. Set his spirit free, he misses Marr. Co-stars and the crew, those were the days. Pete cries out boo, boo. Bring it back, oh can't you see? Bring back the NBA on NBC. Let it be. Pete's mad, he's feeling sad. Bring it back, oh make it right. People out, he's got something to say. Infinity's mine. He's feeling the dismay. No. Bogle sweeps. He's got the road trip blues. Left behind, feeling like he's bound to lose. Perloff's off to San Antonio. Can't believe his eyes. But Bogle's stuck at home. His heartache amplifies. Betting against Wembanyama, Perloff took the fall. But it's Bogle's left behind, feeling 10 feet tall. A loser in his own right, can't catch a break. Road trip dreams shattered, for goodness sake. For goodness sake. Bogle's counting the minutes, ticking like a clock. While Perloff.
You're listening to the Maggie and Perloff show. Sit back, relax, we've got a break to go. In just 5 minutes, we'll be back on air. So take a breath, we'll soon be there. 5 minutes, count it down. Maggie and Perloff, the best show in town. You're listening to the Maggie and Perloff show. 4 minutes till we're back, let's go. Whoa! To the Maggie and Perloff show. 4 minutes till we're back, let's go. You're listening
to 1 minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, Maggie and Perloff here on Infinity Sports Network. So if you were wondering when and if things may go off the rails for the Jets, didn't have to wait that long. So Haason Reddick, who has never played a snap nor attended a practice or anything for the Jets outside of his introductory press conference, has now requested a trade from the Jets. They knew that there was a contract situation that was on the table when they traded for him from your Philadelphia Eagles, Perloff.
Yeah.
But they thought they would get it done and hammered out. They never have been able to come to an agreement. And now Reddick, again, has not stepped foot inside the locker room for all we can tell, is now requesting a trade. The Jets put out a statement yesterday that said, no, just no. You're showing up. It's a letter of the law, the CBA, and they're not budging here. Probably because if they could have traded him, maybe they would have weeks ago. But who would trade for the headache of a guy who's never even showed up? And the Jets look bad here. I think Reddick looks bad. Everyone looks bad. And it's just another reminder, Pearl, that you can have Aaron Rodgers and you can have a great team, and they do. But the Jets are still an organization that will always find the banana peel. They will find a rake, they will step on it, and it will hit them in the face.
I don't want to kill the Jets here. They knew, okay, so as you mentioned, they knew Reddick was super unhappy with his contract and wanted a new one. And they took a risk. Yes, this will blow up in their face if he never plays. But I think he's going to eventually report, and we're going to forget this ever happened to some extent. My bigger question is, too, I've kind of wondered this from the get-go. How badly do the Jets need Haason Reddick? I know they lost Bryce Huff, but they drafted this kid out of Iowa State, and what's his name? McDonald. What? They drafted him at 14. Why isn't he that position? I don't understand. They feel like they have a great defensive line with or without Haason Reddick. I never understood why they invested in him with the conditional third-round pick in the first place. It's just an odd situation. Listen, I like Haason Reddick. I knew the Eagles were not going to re-sign him. I knew you could see him physically lose his motor in the second half of last season. He was totally getting ineffective. I think the Eagles upgraded majorly by bringing in Bryce Huff from the Jets. So I'm not sure he's in a position to play the kind of hardball that he wants to because he's an older pass rusher.
Yeah, I mean, I think I can tell you why they brought him in. They brought him in because they're battling against Josh Allen, because they feel like they're going to be in a big playoff game against Patrick Mahomes, most likely. They're going to be playing against Tua. They feel like in the AFC, you might have to go through the Bengals. You're going to be facing some really great quarterbacks if you're going where you want to go. So I understand why they felt like they want to bring him in. This is an all-in year for the Jets. Let's not forget, Aaron Rodgers put it out there. If we don't do what we want to do, we're all getting fired. Now, I thought that was silly for him to say that because he's definitely not getting fired, but everyone else might. There was a bit of a desperate move, and it's definitely blown up in their face because the fact is the guy's not there, and we're tick, tick, tick getting ready for the season where you open up against the San Francisco 49ers. Not messing around here.
Well, is it though? I mean, it's August 13th.
Yeah.
Is it really tick, tick, tick?
We're, 25 days away?
So what? The guy's been playing football forever. Plug him in. Is it tick, tick, tick? How many tick, tick, tick situations are there that are just going to work out and we're going to forget by week 3? This could be one of them. I'm saying it's not full Jetsian yet. We cannot say the Jets are the Jets. Again, the other thing, okay, if you're the Jets and someone said, say Atlanta, I've been pegging Atlanta for Haason Reddick because they couldn't draft the guy they wanted. They couldn't get Dallas Turner in the draft because they used it on Michael Penix. They offered a 4th-round pick. Would you do that deal? Because then you say, all right, we basically lost a round in the draft for the right to negotiate with Haason Reddick, and it didn't work out, but at least we're getting something here.
No, if I'm the Jets, I want him for this season.
All right. So he's going to be there. He'll show up at some point.
Right, but is he going to show up and is he going to be a pain in the butt?
Yes.
Okay, well, you know what? Then here's the thing. Then you need leadership. Either that's got to be Saleh or that's got to be Rodgers maybe or whatever. Because if this thing, you actually can't have him show up and be a pain in the butt. Because first of all, everything is going to be magnified on this team because of the star power of Rodgers. And Rodgers will not give up his weekly appearances on McAfee where they could ask him about it every week. And this is where Saleh as a defensive coach and other leaders on the team have to wrap their arms around this guy and be like, if you're not in the mood, get in the mood. Because they're trying to win a Super Bowl, right? I'm not off here.
Yeah, but
he's got a bad attitude. It's got to change.
But again, this is conflating contract negotiations with attitude in the locker room. This is a guy trying to get his money. And
sure,
I think everybody on the team respects that. That is not a locker room cancer. That's business. And the same thing, I imagine it's to some extent it's happening with Brandon Aiyuk in San Francisco. Every player respects a guy who's holding out for money. Okay. So I do not think that that's going to be an attitude problem.
I just wonder, is this a guy, though, is he not giving his all? Is he holding back? Is he trying to make sure he doesn't hurt? This is a guy who's 30 years old who feels like this is his big bite at the apple, right? Anyway,
That's a good point.
855-212-4227. It's an MESS mess. Okay, we have a lot more to unpack today, including why there is such controversy surrounding one Olympic star. Get to that next. It's Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Olympics wrapped up. Not without a little controversy, though. Of course, there always is. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. So glad to have you. Well, this was a fun one when Tyreek Hill yesterday talking to Kay Adams saying that he would like to race Noah Lyles. And to be honest, like, sign us all up. Even if it's lopsided, Pearl, I still want to see it.
Yeah.
A man who knows a lot about Noah Lyles and chronicled him before the Olympics and during the Olympics is a friend of ours and a fantastic reporter, Sean Gregory from Time. He's a senior sports correspondent. He's also a professor at Columbia Journalism School. This is the guy you want talking about our greatest athletes. And Sean is in the Charles de Gaulle Airport right now. Sean, good afternoon, I guess. How are you?
Yes, good afternoon from the lovely Gate 23 at Charles de Gaulle. No flight here, so I should be good. To talk about Noah, this controversy is just really interesting. I'll tell you, the day after the Olympics for reporters, I've been here 21 days writing and covering the events, and you get a day on Monday. Usually, you stay in the city. I've done it. This is the 9th time I've done it. You get to experience the city. So I'm having a beautiful day in Paris. Had a good meal and all this stuff. My phone was dead. I get back to my room and people are tweeting at me like, what's this Noah Lyles rumor? Did he go to the party? All this stuff. So ask away. I'm just kind of catching up to all this right now. I just saw the Tyreek Hill interview on X before we got on. So it's fun stuff.
Okay, let's set it up because you wrote this big profile of Noah Lyles before the Olympics, and it was fantastic. And essentially, you kind of go through his whole story and how he's changed so much, the mental health awareness, physically, how he's changed since the last Olympics and a disappointing bronze, and sort of setting up the games for him. And in the article, I don't know how you guys got into this conversation, but he sort of offers that he was basically insulted that Adidas would invite him to a party and a shoe release for Anthony Edwards, the basketball player, because Anthony Edwards had never even been to an NBA Finals. Meanwhile, Noah Lyles, who was in a contract negotiation with Adidas, is a 6-time world champion. And he thought, how could you invite me to kind of like witness another man's greatness? Is that sort of what I should take from that, Sean? And Noah seemed offended.
Exactly right. And if you have it exactly right. We were talking about the Adidas contract, and it was the richest contract in track and field history. But he was negotiating, and as like a kind of throwing him a bone, it was like, all right, well, come to this party. You're invited to this Anthony Davis party. Now, and he was mad because he wanted a shoe. Noah Lyles wants his own shoe. And he's like, what do I have to do to get a shoe? Now, if you read the quote in full, he's very complimentary to Anthony Edwards. He's very complimentary to Anthony Edwards. Said he's an amazing player, and he's happy that they see his potential and they're giving him a shoe. But what about me? That's basically what he was saying. So, you could, and the line that, probably raised some eyebrows was like, this is a guy, well, 2 sentences in there. He said that this is a sport that Adidas doesn't even care about basketball, which was interesting. Adidas is paying him a lot of money, and he's kind of saying, you guys don't even care about basketball. I'm sure he got a phone call from Adidas execs about that. And that this is and saying to Edwards, this is a man who's never been to the NBA Finals. And I'm a world champion. And I think the Wolves were actually still alive when we had the interview. It turns out that Anthony Edwards did not make the NBA Finals. So, it's just he was offended that he doesn't have a shoe and this other guy does, and that they invited to the event. But he did go out of his way, to be fair to Noah, to be very complimentary of Anthony Edwards. He was more, I think he was expressing his frustration at Adidas more than quote unquote throwing shade at another athlete.
So what do you think of his subsequent denial of that quote, saying that he had a previous engagement?
Well, he didn't deny the quote. I mean, that's what I want to clear up. Like, the quote was just about he was invited to this thing and he took offense to it and why. There's nothing in the quote, and we didn't even talk about whether he went or not. So I take him at his word that he didn't go because he had engagements. And to be fair, like, I don't even, I think I heard that the party might not have even happened. So I checked a little bit. I think there might have been a party in December or something, but it's kind of irrelevant. So I just want to clear everything up. That quote, and so he wasn't saying it, when in his clarification tweet, this rumor that he didn't go, I don't know where that started. That was not in the story that he said he didn't go. I don't know whether he went. I didn't know whether he went or not. I didn't really care. It was just more his just kind of offense at Adidas not giving him a shoe. And the point of it is being, his whole point is that track and field needs to be bigger. He wants to make it bigger. And to him, and I think he's right, the fact that Anthony Edwards gets a shoe before Noah Lyles does just shows that track and field's not at the same level, and that's where he wants to get it at. So I think people, could maybe chill out a little bit about this. But
impossible, Sean. Impossible. We're
just
definitely not chilling. Here's the thing. Sean Gregory is joining us. He's a senior sports correspondent from Time and does a fantastic job and wrote this big piece about Noah Lyles that's getting some, that's being unearthed a little bit because of some controversy. And the thing is about Lyles, and this is why I think it's caught on so much, it appears he has a bit of a gripe with basketball players in general, right? Because he kind of went out of his way months ago to say you can't call yourself a world champion if you don't play the world, right? You're just an NBA champion. And, Kevin Durant, of course, always quick to social media, said, like, somebody help this brother out. Somebody get him a clue. Everyone piled on Noah Lyles. It kind of, is he a bitter guy? Because I know that he's worked a lot on his mental health, but sometimes yucking another person's yums, for lack of a better term, makes you come off a little sour.
For sure. So, my line about at the World Championships last year, he said, why are NBA players world champions? I'm a world champion. And my line of that was, and the NBA players took it totally in stride. No, not at all. Of course, right? As you mentioned, KD is like, it became, I think, for a day or two, you guys probably talked, it was on ESPN Sports Center, it was like a talking point, this idea that NBA players or NBA teams world champions when they're playing teams in North America. So you can debate that either way. Noah even said, I think, and his brother said this too, like, he made the wrong analogy. Like, he should have said baseball, maybe NFL because it's so American based. I mean, you don't really do you call the Super Bowl champion world champions, World Series champion? It's called the World Series. So he probably picked the wrong sport. Because NBA guys are going to clap back at him.
Yeah.
And B, the NBA is pretty global in nature. So I don't think he's a bitter guy. I mean, I don't think he's a bitter guy. He respects basketball players. He's a great athlete. He respects great athletes. I think he would even, and then we talked about, I don't know if I put in the story that, the one mistake he made in those comments was he probably should have picked another sport. However, I did say, but do you stand by them? And he says, yes. Like, he said the Denver Nuggets in 23, we again, our interview happened before the Celtics won. He said the Denver Nuggets in 2023, in his mind, aren't the world champions. They're the NBA champions. There's, the World Cup champion is the world champion. Or if there was a global tournament of professional sports teams, they would be the world champion. Now, you can argue the Nuggets or the Celtics would beat, AC Milan or the Greek teams, the good pro teams overseas. Yeah, probably, but they don't play, right? So we don't know for sure, and that's kind of what he was saying.
Okay, pull back a little bit, Sean. I know you cover all sports. Do you think Noah Lyles has a point that track should get more credit? Because there is a narrative. Everyone said, "Oh, let's see Noah Lyles catch a football." I heard a lot of bros say that. Do you think Noah Lyles has a point, and track and field should be higher up in the sports hierarchy? Because we never talk about it except for the Olympics.
For sure, and that's what I think he's trying to change that in a way where his showmanship, his bragging, his the antics before the race. You can think he's a blowhard, you can think he's a confident, fun guy, but he's doing that intentionally because he wants to bring a spotlight to his sport. Track and field is a lot of fun. The 100-meter dash is a ton of fun. It's an interesting race. The problem with track and field, it's a global sport, and the organization, there's meets around the world. They're not televised here. They just switched from Peacock, the Diamond League, which is like their version of the NBA, is now on like a paywalled site called Flow Track, which has upset a lot of people. So, and they're Michael Johnson's trying to start his own kind of track circuit. And Gabby Thomas, who won the gold medal, is going to run a race in New York, an all-women's race with big prize money to try to, create rivalries. As you said, Maggie, at the beginning, you'd sign up to watch Noah Lyles race Tyreek Hill. I think track and field needs to find Noah Lyles as rival and race a lot during these 4 years where you're not paying attention and build up these rivalries. That's how you got to do it. And it might take a more American-based approach, because one thing America does pretty well is hype up sporting events and rivalries. So we'll see where the Michael Johnson idea and this all-women's track organization, which is backed by Serena Williams' husband, Alexis Ohanian, who founded Reddit. So, he's got a lot of money. He's trying to invest in that side of things. So it'll be interesting to see where things go from here.
Let's just play for the audience the Tyreek Hill quote from Kay Adams' show yesterday. This was him when Kay asked him about Noah Lyles.
Noah Lyles can't say nothing after what just happened to him. You know what I'm saying? Then he want to come out and pretend like he's sick. I feel like that's like horseradish.
Okay, so
all right,
yeah, go for it, Sean.
I mean, he had COVID, right? And COVID does mess with your respiratory system. Noah Lyles also grew up as an asthmatic, so he's had to fight asthma. So this idea that he made an excuse after finishing with the wheel, I don't buy that at all. He tried to win that race. He finished third. And it's a shame that he was sick, because I think he would have won that race and probably would have made a difference in the 4x100 relay, which the men screwed up, which the American men often screw up. They're very bad at handing the baton off. And so if Noah was in that 4x100 and won the 200, he would have won 3 gold medals. And the only male track athletes to do that in the last 40 years are Usain Bolt and Carl Lewis. So that's heady company. So it was unfortunate that his Olympics went haywire after that exciting 100-meter photo finish. This idea that he's pretending to be sick, he was confirmed. He tested positive for COVID. And one thing you could say about COVID is that it does mess with your respiratory system, and you need your respiratory system to run the 200 meters. So maybe give the guy a little credit for finishing third.
Sean, if he did race Tyreek Hill, it'd be a blowout, right?
I don't have Tyreek Hill's combine scores and his 60 or whatever they measure there. But I would think in 100-meter, as there's so many fast NBA players, NFL players, great athletes, but the start, the top end speed that Noah Lyles has, there's something about his gear that I think he can catch anybody. And, it's a technical sport too at the start. In these short races, the start's a huge thing. So, Tyreek Hill would have to work on that. There's a lot of science that goes into your reaction off the blocks and stuff. So I don't know if it'd be a blowout, but I think I'd be betting on Noah in that one.
Sean Gregory is joining us from Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris. He's been covering the Olympics for 3 weeks on the ground. And obviously, even months before that, wrote this great piece about Noah Lyles that's now been shrouded in a bit of controversy. Not because of you, Sean, because Lyles tends to find the quote. He gives the quote that gets people talking. And this one was about Anthony Edwards, the basketball player, and whether or not he deserved a signature shoe before Lyles got a signature shoe. And this is where we are. One other thing people may not know about you, Sean played basketball at a high level, Princeton University, made the tournament, all that. Let's ask you a basketball question. So while everyone's celebrating Steph Curry and the accomplishment of winning gold, my co-host here, Andrew Perloff, maybe a slightly different take, also an Ivy League basketball player. So we got Ivy versus Ivy here. that it maybe wouldn't, that these games wouldn't have been so tight had guys like Jason Tatum and Anthony Edwards gotten more burn. I don't want to put words in your mouth here, Pearl, but go ahead.
I'm not saying. I just think that this is not necessarily the best version of the American team. I thought they kind of let LeBron and the older guys run the show as a reward to them, and maybe it wasn't necessarily the best effort from the U.S. team.
I think that's fair. I mean, on the defensive side of the ball, especially, and I'll admit, in that last 3 minutes, getting lost in the Curry heroics, I think there were some defensive lapses that I kind of wasn't maybe paying attention to. I think Batum got open, and so they had a few open late shots that allowed France to stay in it. So yeah, I think that's fair. Like, on the defensive side of the ball, Edwards is such a menace on defense, and he might have put things to stop some of the French momentum there. But listen, at the end of the day, they won. It was an exciting ending, and you can, fair criticism of Kerr. And I think there was the Durant, Curry, LeBron trio. People, I wanted to see it. I did want to see it. It was our version, this generation's version of Magic, Larry and Michael playing in Barcelona. And to be fair to those guys, they were the team down the stretch that came back against Serbia too, right? So you have to give those three guys a lot of credit.
Do you think that Celtics fans have a right to be angry about Kerr not playing Jason Tatum certain games?
It might have done him a huge favor, right? Like Tatum is going to be, could just kind of rampage around the league now for a revenge tour, especially against Golden State. Not that Golden State's really a big championship contender these days, but he handled it pretty well after the game. I was kind of focused on Curry, but I was talking to some Boston reporters, and he was very open. Like, it was hard for him, right? This is a guy who's the top 5 player in the world 3 years in a row, and he's getting DNP. So I think it surprised him. But by all accounts, like, he didn't mess with things. He didn't complain all that much. But yeah, you have to have some sympathy for him. And, he could say, you could play 12 guys in a 40-minute game. I think Kerr was hung up on 10 guys in a 40-minute game. Yes, I get it. When the games are close, it's not CYO basketball where everybody has to play. But I do think, Kerr had a vision and had a plan, and they won. So, it's now on Tatum to kind of, repeat as a champion. Jaylen Brown say, you'd left me off this team. They both now are pissed off, and they can go repeat again. So, Kerr did that. The rest of the NBA might not be thanking Steve Kerr for benching Jason Tatum.
Unleashed a monster. Sean, thank you so much. Great job covering the Olympics. You could read Sean, time.com, senior sports correspondent, and did a fantastic job. And thanks for clearing up the Noah Lyles controversy. We appreciate it.
No problem.
Are you going to get some quiche now, Sean? They have great quiche in that airport, as I recall.
No, I just went to duty free and got like the mascot and my kids a few T-shirts and stuff. So
I thought you were going to say like a liter of Jack Daniels.
Or a big Toblerone bar.
Yeah. I got a little chocolate too, so not bad.
You deserve it after all the hard work you did. Sean, thank you so much. Safe trip home, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys. See you guys. Thanks so much for having me.
Now, a couple things. Whoever buys the Toblerones?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
But they're huge. They get bigger every year. I know Sean's been busy covering the Olympics. Is that kind of weak, coming out of Paris for 4 weeks to buy something at the airport for your kids?
I'm right there with them.
Come on, dude. I get it, but I understand you've been writing cover stories left and right, but I don't know, get something in France?
No, I totally understand what he's talking about. We were in Vegas for a week, almost a week and a half for the Super Bowl. I bought everyone something from the airport. You can't shop. You're busy. You're working.
There's so much shopping in Vegas. We were in every store. We walked by a whole mall to get to a set. You couldn't stop and buy something for your kid?
Nope. I got him something in the airport, just like every other parent. Kudos to Sean. All right. We can unpack that, the Noah Lyles controversy, and maybe throw it up on a poll. Would Tyreek Hill have a prayer against Noah Lyles?
Come on.
Yes or no?
Come on.
I don't know.
I know.
I want to see it.
You know, of course you know. You even saying that is denigrating to the sport of track.
Listen, I've been in their crosshairs for a couple weeks now.
Oh, yeah. At least you're consistent. I forgot about that take.
Also, Delta has also got another question in the chat, youtube.com/InfinitySportsNet. What is so great about Toblerone? Is it great chocolate? You guys know what we're talking about, right? It's triangular shaped. You buy it in the airport. I've never seen one out of the airport. Have you ever seen a Toblerone out in the wild?
Yeah.
You have?
I think they have it at the grocery store.
Is it as good as like Godiva or
never had it.
Ghirardelli?
I've never had it.
Yeah, me neither.
I've seen it. I've never had it.
Who are the people who's buying this stuff?
Willy Wonka.
He's got his own factory.
But Mr. Slugworth is probably scouting out for him too.
We were just in San Francisco, and my wife bought a giant bag of Ghirardelli chocolates for all her coworkers.
Yeah.
And she goes, "You want to do that for your coworkers?" And I said, "No."
Thanks for nothing.
This conversation actually happened 5 days ago.
They both threw a bag of that Ghirardellis. They're unbelievable.
I know, and it's funny because you can buy them anywhere in the country,
Yeah.
but something about getting them from San Francisco does feel different.
I think they have Ghirardelli only stores there.
Yeah.
So you guys would have liked the chocolate? I'm so sorry.
Oh, for sure.
We'd be stuffing our faces with it. And they make hot chocolate and other things. Now we're just pimping out.
I think I was thinking about you guys. I didn't want to tempt you with all that chocolate so early in the morning.
Yeah, thanks. We appreciate that so much.
It would get us, get us out of bed.
Yeah. Up and Adam, ready to talk about more track controversy.
That's right.
Okay. Really appreciate you on there. We have a lot more to do. We've got a lot of football to do, including the latest from training camp and somebody whose job's on the line coming up this weekend, a quarterback. We'll tell you who next. It's Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds.
Grabbed a bat and took the field under the summer moon. He said, Jack, let's show 'em how the Bogush boys can play. And the Bogush had a plan on a sunny afternoon. Grabbed a bat and took the field under the summer moon. He said, Jack, let's show 'em how the Bogush boys can play. But little did they know he had whiskey in his sway.
Oh, Andrew Bogush swaying side to side with a bottle in his hand. He gave it a good try, swinging at the pitches, stumbling on his feet, drunk on the diamond in the summer heat.
Jack's team was laughing as Dad took his stance, wobbling at the plate in a tipsy baseball dance. The coach was shaking his head, moms were all aghast, but Andrew Bogush grinned, living in the past.
Oh, Andrew Bogush swaying side to side with a bottle in his hand. He gave it a good try, swinging at the pitches, stumbling on his feet, drunk on the diamond in the summer heat. He hit a grounder to the shortstop, tried to make it to first, but he tripped over his own feet. Oh man, it was the worst. Jack was on the mound, his face turning red. Come on, Dad, get up, this game's far from dead. Oh, Andrew Bogush swaying side to side with a bottle in his hand. He gave it a good try, swinging at the pitches, stumbling on his feet, drunk on the diamond in the summer heat. Hit a grounder to the shortstop, tried to make it to first, but he tripped over his own feet. Oh man, it was the worst. Jack was on the mound, his face turning red. Come on, Dad, get up, this game's far from dead.
To the shortstop, tried to make it to first, but he tripped over his own feet. Oh man, it was the worst.
Jack was on the mound, his face turning red. Come on, Dad, get up, this game's far from dead. Oh, Andrew Bogush swaying side to side with a bottle in his hand. He gave it a good try, swinging at the pitches, stumbling on his feet, drunk on the diamond in the summer heat. So if you see a little league and laughter fills the air, look for Andrew Bogusch, you might find him there. With a grin and a wink, he'll raise a drink on high, playing ball with Jack's team under the summer sky.
Andrew Bogusch had a plan on a sunny afternoon. Grabbed a bat and took the field under the summer moon. He said, Jack, let's show 'em how the Bogusch boys can play. But little did they know he had whiskey in his sway.
Oh, Andrew.
1 minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
The Defensive Player of the Week is sponsored by the Navy Federal Credit Union, who proudly serves the Armed Forces, DoD, veterans, and their families. Their members are the mission. Learn more at NavyFederal.org. All right, it's an odd week. We're coming off the Olympics, NFL preseason, baseball. Pat Boyle has picked the Defensive Player of the Week, and I have to be honest, Maggie, I have no idea.
Let's see. Pat.
Who plays defense in the, I'm more focused on breakdancing. There's no defense there, and
maybe
volleyball.
Someone should have played some defense on Ray Gun.
Well, that's what the Australian social media has played. They are the defensive players of the week because they are hyping her up. They had her do a routine. I don't know if that was back in Australia or in Paris, but they are hyping her up. I got to say, I guess I feel for her that she got roasted by millions of people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But also at the same time, you got 0 points.
Yeah. She lost all 3
you
matches.
You bombed your event.
Yeah, it went as bad as it could go.
So, like, if when we see
She's
clips,
getting famous off of it.
Well, yeah, and we see clips of the divers who belly flop. Like, should we not make fun of them?
Yeah, it's fair. The people who mess up the national anthem, even are we not supposed to point out when things go wrong? It's a fair point. Now, the thing is, here's the irony. So, Ray Gun was the Australian woman. Her name's Rachel.
Rachel Gunn.
You can go by a nickname.
I don't know.
I actually didn't even know that. I thought it was
cool
just
name.
yeah.
Anyway, Ray Gun. She was the Australian breakdancer. She's the best that country has to offer, and she went to the Olympics and scored 0 points. Now, granted, Australia is not known for breakdancing, right? That's more of
no, they're men's guy.
Oh, he was great? Okay.
Oh, he was
on the women's side, they clearly have some ground to gain.
No, the entire world is great at breakdancing now. Australia, New Zealand,
I've got some footage for you that may suggest otherwise, just with this one particular woman. But no, here's my point. Not to keep making fun of her. It was just funny because the routine was so silly with the kangaroo hopping and the lyric. It was like pantomiming. It was silly. But you're right. Yeah. They're back in Australia or something. And she's in the middle of a group, basically everyone's go Rachel, like one of those things that impromptu. And she did a great routine. It's like, just do that. If you had not done the silly kangaroo hops and all the silly stuff, she basically put some cardboard down with everyone there and did a great routine.
All right, listen, they're pulling clips of Ray Gun. As somebody who watched every second of both the men's and women's breaking, she was not that bad. I'm just kidding. I didn't watch all that.
She was terrible.
First of all, her moves, I totally disagree. I love the kangaroo hops. Did you guys watch some men? They were doing all sorts of weird stuff that looked like a 4-year-old in bed.
No, they look like
we're doing splits and backflips.
Yeah, they
and
look like athletes.
Yeah.
She looked like me after 5 Red Bull and vodkas on a dance floor when they play my favorite song.
Yeah, but
my 6-year-old nephew, when he splays out on the floor and does like that worm thing.
I don't know. There were a lot of bizarre moves. And by the way, the whole breaking judgment was way off. My guy Victor from America got robbed in the semifinal. I was furious about that.
Of course you would have a problem with the
I saw it was one of the rare
Perloff knows
NBC.
nothing about this, but I have very
no. I
much
watched
an issue with the judges.
I watched a movie in 1986.
No, I watched the NBA, the NBC backstory on Victor Montalvo, our breaker, and it was amazing. Basically, his dad watched the movie Beat Street in 1985 and became obsessed with breaking. These guys are incredible athletes. I can't believe it's not going to be in the 28 Olympics.
Miss.
I am so upset about that. Is there a way, Maggie, not that you work for the IOC, can you get it in there?
Yeah, do you want me to call who's the guy?
Ask Pete. He's connected.
To the IOC?
Yeah.
You could scam your way with the IOC. They love bribes.
So wait, what does any of this have to do with Defensive Player of the Week?
It doesn't.
Slow
Can you give us? You have to give us a sport.
So would you
Pat.
like your first hint?
Yeah, give us a sport.
Is it
something.
baseball?
It's baseball.
I'm out.
And he made the game-ending web gem play
Last night?
Last night.
I know who it is.
Oh, last night. Is it
Late last night, too. That might be a problem for you guys.
Is it Ellie De La Cruz?
No, he threw Ellie De La Cruz out last week, and his arm strength is in the 92nd percentile this year.
Bogish, have at it.
No, wait, don't do it.
Cruz.
He's 21.
Okay.
Oh.
He had never played center field before this year.
Was an all-star, I think.
Correct.
Plays for a West Coast team.
Is this an exercise to point out my West Coast baseball ignorance?
He's on the Padres.
Oh, okay. Then
that gives it away.
Ray Gun.
It's Fernando Tatis.
Nando Valenzuela.
Skeets Nehemiah.
Steve Garvey.
He's technically got 2 first names if the last name is a famous actress who is one of the highly nominated actresses of all time.
Wow.
Think of like the most famous actresses of all time. That's his last name.
Not spelled the same way, but same name. I did not know where you're going with that at first.
Think of people.
Folks, the San Diego station is probably ripping their hair out of their heads right now.
So just say who it is.
Bogish?
No, you go ahead. It's your thing.
Jackson Merrill.
Oh, like Meryl Streep?
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to be honest. When you said most famous actresses, I assumed it was porn and that you guys were all on some kind of inside joke because it's Boyle. If that had been EJ, I would have never thought that. But if it was Boyle.
That's messed up, man.
Yeah, I agree. That's a lot of judgment.
I'm taking objection with that.
No, you're not.
You're right. But yeah.
Jackson Merrill, good for him.
Jackson Merrill, big-time star in the making if he's not one already.
I've honestly stopped listening about 6 minutes ago on here. How is the
Jackson-
most overdone?
Sorry, hey, when he hits a walk-off home run this year against the Phillies in the NLDS to knock him out.
What time was that play, Pat?
Probably 1 a.m.
Yeah.
Unfair. Unfair, but a good one.
I'm
That
probably
was a
waking
pretty
up
good
for
one.
about the 40th time by then.
Yeah. Well, you got young kids.
Well, here's the thing that I kind of felt pissed off about.
Yeah.
I feel like I never see web gems anymore.
Yeah.
Like, and nowadays with social media intake, like I searched like web gems Twitter, and there was an account that used to post up until like 2021. If anybody knows in the YouTube chat or anywhere, tweet at me or us where I can find an account that just posts great web gems because I never see them anymore.
Pat, if you don't become the thing you want in the world.
I don't have time for that.
All right. Well, then, you want to farm it out. It's probably the Sports Center Twitter handle. Maybe they've got something for you.
I doubt it. It's probably just a long form interview with LeBron.
A little more Schefter updates.
Yeah.
A lot of McAfee.
McAfee saying something that I didn't need to hear.
Let's get to the headlines before they pull the plug on us. Bogush, what do you have?
Guys, we wondered yesterday if punishment was coming. It came. Red Sox center fielder Jarren Duran suspended 2 games for shouting a gay slur at a heckling fan during Sunday's game at Fenway. Here's his manager, Alex Cora.
He made a big mistake, and he's living with it, right? And as a manager, I got to do my job. As a person, there's more from my end. From my perspective, Alex, no, they see that Alex will be there for him. I'm going to be there for him and try to help him out.
Duran apologized again yesterday, but there was some criticism because he spoke to the media in a T-shirt that says, bleep him. Duran wears that shirt every day as a reminder to ignore outside noise. As someone who has dealt publicly with his mental health issues, but some think that wearing a T-shirt with a curse on it while apologizing for using a gay slur shows that maybe you don't fully grasp the situation.
By the way, I just go back to yesterday.
Yeah,
I didn't know that he was in the batter's box when he said this.
Yeah.
The umpire should have thrown him out.
Apparently, he apologized to the umpire. Now, he didn't apologize to the fan, who he said was heckling him all game, but still, the fan said you couldn't hit the ball with a tennis racket. Nothing deserves to get a slur like this, shouted your way, but certainly not you couldn't hit the ball with a tennis racket. That's not, that falls in line, I think, with normal heckling. But apparently, he did apologize to the umpire.
Yeah, I thought it was in the on-deck circle away from the plate, but if he's in that batter's box and he says that clearly, goodbye.
It's you're right about the T-shirt though, right? You got he or somebody else, and I don't want to put it on anyone else. It's about him. You got to realize this is not the right time to be wearing that shirt.
I got to be honest. I had no idea he wore it every day. That's new context for me.
Still.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw the story, nobody was talking about the fact that he wears this every day. Not that that's an excuse for it, but it does add. It's a sort of a different thing all of a sudden.
Yeah, but he wears his baseball uniform every day, and he wouldn't wear it to a funeral. Time and place, just
Totally.
because you do wear something every day doesn't mean you wear it all the time.
But if he took it off for this one thing, that might be.
Just put a sweatshirt over it, anything.
Yeah. It's also not just his fault. I mean, he had to have been prepped by somebody in PR and walk to this by PR. That person's job is also to see that shirt and go, hey, let's change. Even though they see it every day, so maybe it doesn't resonate anymore on a daily basis, but still you'd think they would give him a once over and be comb your hair, take that off.
Yeah.
You got tobacco juice on your face. They would just prep him for maybe the most important 3 minutes of his life in the last little bit. To have that to try to apologize for this.
By the way, I did think it's 2-game suspension.
Yeah.
Right? I thought that was the right call.
I do too.
I got they got it. That's a pretty strong suspension for an MLB player, 2 games. So I mean, I know when they suspend pitchers for 10 games when they only play every 4th game.
Yeah.
But I felt like that was well done.
And apparently this is the number. There have been a couple of guys in the past couple of years that have said something similar to this and got caught saying it, and they both got 2-game suspension. So this seems to be kind of the number from teams in MLB.
Yeah.
As for the Red Sox game last night, they rallied for a 5-4 win in 10 over the Rangers, snapping a 4-game skid. Texas, by the way, has now dropped 9 of 12 to fall a season-low 9 games under 500. And then there is former Red Sox Mookie Betts back in the Dodger lineup last night.
Swing and a drive, deep left field. This ball headed back toward the wall, and it is going to be gone. A home run, Betts. Welcome back, Mookie.
Tim Neverett on Dodgers radio. Betts adding an RBI single to that 2-run homer in a 5-2 win in Milwaukee in his first game since a pitch broke his left hand in mid-June. The Padres staying hot, 2-1 over the Pirates. San Diego's won 17 of 20, but stays 3.5 games behind those Dodgers in the West. The Astro win streak is 6 after a 6-1 win in Tampa Bay. And the Blue Jays, 4-2 winners in Anaheim. Will Wagner, 3 hits and RBI in his big league debut. Will's dad is Hall of Fame-worthy closer Billy Wagner. Andy Reid said yesterday, new Chiefs receiver Hollywood Brown does not need surgery for his dislocated shoulder from the weekend. When asked about Brown being ready for Week 1, Reid said, we'll see. And finally, in case you were wondering what D'Angelo Russell thought of Steph Curry's barrage to win gold Saturday in Paris, we have a now deleted quote tweet from the Lakers guard. A random dude had to tweet, quote, "You guys realize DLo gets hot like Curry did yesterday, or should we just ignore facts? I would have ignored facts. Instead, Russell hit the quote tweet button and added, "I humbly agree," and again has since deleted that.
Just leave it up. Like, don't delete it. You said it, leave it up. You think you are capable of getting as hot as Steph Curry.
I got to be honest. My problem with the first tweet, what in your mind makes you watch Steph Curry and go, D'Angelo Russell can do that? That is a thought post Steph Curry? Is that D'Angelo Russell can do this too?
If it's D'Angelo's burner account, then yeah. I mean, what are the odds that this person is either related to D'Angelo Russell or is D'Angelo Russell? And then he quote tweeted his own burner or his buddy's burner.
Pretty good.
Very high.
Yeah,
Thank
those
you.
odds are high.
Yeah, I mean, because you're right. Who's sitting there having that thought unless you're the biggest Ohio State / D'Angelo Russell fan?
Schmiangelo Bustle on Twitter.
Good name for a handle.
Thank you.
EJ, go ahead.
Yeah, one, I thought the exact same thing in terms of the burner account because it's not like this person tagged D'Angelo Russell to get him in the post so you could see it. D'Angelo Russell randomly saw some random guy write this about Curry and him. Like, how do you find that tweet, number one? And number two, I love this because this is the BS that LeBron has to go back to in LA. This is why he's wasting his time with the Lakers. Like, imagine you just had the best experience in Paris playing with Steph Curry, playing with the greats of today's NBA. You win a gold medal. You win a fake MVP that Perloff hates, but you're excited about it. And then the first thing you got to go on Twitter and see the next day is your dopey point guard saying, I could do that too. That's just a little preview of what LeBron has to deal with those crappy Lakers this year. I found that to be such fitting because of the situation, how much of a honeymoon this Team USA experience was for LeBron. And now he goes on Twitter. He has to see his point guard writing that he could do what Steph Curry does too. Good luck in LA, LeBron. It's going to be fun.
D'Angelo Russell's like 5th on the list of like the crazy things that they're going to deal with the Lakers.
That's why it's so awesome.
JJ Reddick is their head coach. Should we all forget about that? Bronny's on the team. Like, we've got so much.
I did forget about all that.
No, the Lakers are going to be the gift that keeps on giving.
Maybe D'Angelo want to remind them that they haven't traded him yet. It's getting close to the season. Yeah, hey guys, didn't you want to get rid of me?
Last chance. Bogish, thank you so much.
By the way, we all noticed that Billy Wagner Hall of Fame plug. Don't think you can sneak that by me. Get
good,
here.
you're listening.
Get out of here.
Now he's listening.
If he gets in, who does he go in at? What hat?
Phil's.
Mets.
Astros.
Phillies.
Astros.
Mets.
Put it up as a poll. 855-212. Along with, have you ever actually eaten Toblerone chocolate? Do we even know it's chocolate in there? Could just be selling empty boxes of cardboard.
Could be gold, and we're not realizing it. Hey.
It could be like drug smuggling right out in the open.
Right.
It's definitely not chocolate I've ever had. 855-212-4227.
I'm going on vacation. I'm gonna find one. I'm gonna have it.
Now the duty-free Johnny Walker I've sampled. That's real.
I'm gonna sample some Johnny Walker too on this trip as well.
You'll need it. 855-212-4227. We can get more into Pete's upcoming vacay in a minute. We've got a lot to do, though. We have to get to whose stock is up and whose stock is down now that the Olympics are over.
You're in a 5-minute break.
You're listening to the Maggie and Perloff Show. Sit back, relax, we got a break to go. In just 5 minutes, we'll be back on air. So take a breath, we'll soon be there. 5 minutes, count it down. Maggie and Perloff, the best show in town. You're Maggie and Perloff show. You're in a 5-minute break, so don't go far. Maggie and Perloff know who you are. 4 minutes, 3 minutes, count it down. The Maggie and Perloff show will be back around.
Okay, I gotta get off. I gotta get off. Perloff show. We'll be back around.
You're listening to the Maggie and Perloff show. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let's wait. 5 minutes now, it's gonna be great. Time's ticking down, it's almost here. Maggie and Perloff, we're so near. You're listening to the Maggie and Perloff show. You're in a 5-minute break, so don't go far. Maggie and Perloff, we know who you are.
2 minutes remaining.
3 minutes, count it down. The Maggie and Perloff show will be back around.
1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
The MP500 on the Infinity Sports Network.
Okay, we wanted to put a wrap on the Olympics, Maggie and Perloff style. So a final sort of 30,000-foot view, Pearl, stock up, stock down from the Olympic Games. Who's your stock up?
So this is very obvious, but I think Katie Ledecky has gotten into this sort of maybe Mount Rushmore of Olympic stars. Like, I think with the numbers she's putting up right now, like, you can't not talk about her when you're talking about Michael Phelps. And the fact that she might compete again in LA in 2028. And she just, to me, she's one of the most impressive athletes. Obviously, you have Simone Biles, but just she wins that race, and then she's just sitting there all the time. It's incredible to me. I thought that she came out of this as just like an all-time Olympic athlete. She was before, don't get me wrong, but now I think she's really putting pressure on Phelps as the greatest swimmer in U.S. history.
Amazing. Yeah, Ledecky was phenomenal. Certainly stock up. My stock up is going to be to all the athletes who got famous for reasons other than the sport they were competing in. So let's take a trip down memory lane, shall we? Who can forget the French diver who was so
oh, yeah. Oh, come on, Maggie. You're not going back here again,
well
are you?
endowed that it made my group chat of high school friends who wouldn't know sports if it, was on their TV. Let's not forget the pole vaulter, also from France, I believe, who lost out because part of his anatomy hit the high, not the pole vaulter. Yeah, they hit the bar on the way down. Let's not forget Ray Gun. Pour one out for Ray Gun, the Australian breakdancer who got a 0. Didn't score a point in the entire Olympics. Now will be forever immortalized, certainly in her home country. And also the Paraguayan swimmer who was asked to leave the Olympic Village because she was dressed inappropriately. Meanwhile, she competes in a bathing suit. We have no idea what she could have been wearing. That would have been so offensive. So let's give a little participation trophy for the Olympians who got famous for things other than their sport and gave us plenty of content over the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, Maggie, come on here. What are we doing?
I'm giving out my stock
how you had many body parts in your stock up there.
I don't make the news, Pearl. All I do is talk about it.
I'm just saying, leave the pervy stuff to the guys here. No, I'm just kidding. That was you have it. You have every right to do that. Usually we talk. We didn't talk about the women's beach volleyball players once.
I think
didn't
that was
even bring
a
it
lot
up.
of restraint on our part.
It didn't even bring
your
it
part,
up,
guys.
Well, yeah, because you were so interested in the pole vaulters. Anyway,
Penix looks really good. Suddenly very interested in French divers.
Okay, I got a controversial stock down. How would you like to win MVP of a tournament when you weren't even the best player or the most memorable player coming out of a basketball tournament? I am sorry, LeBron, and you're putting out tweets about these, what a great memory it was. I'm sorry, LeBron, stock down. Peopleati, take it from here.
Oh, he's a jerk. Back to you.
He's not a jerk.
I just feel like somehow LeBron turned what was just this awesome moment into he LeBroned it up where he just made it about him in a way, which came off as a little bit very LeBron-like.
But they gave him the award. Oh, you think there was...
I don't know. It just feels like there's a manipulation with LeBron and something.
Thanks for coming, award.
It just felt like this was his team, right?
Yes.
Like I feel like maybe I'm wrong. You know how you sometimes say he's the GM of the Lakers? It felt like he was the GM of Team USA.
Definitely.
That
felt right.
Thanks for helping us sell an extra French baguette.
I feel like the voters were like... Rich Paul was one of the voters, and like Maverick.
Yeah.
I feel like he runs the whole darn show.
What's it, Savannah? Who else?
And the only way he can, if Bronny's on the 28 team, then we'll know that LeBron James really does run Team USA basketball.
Well, Bronny's on the Lakers, and that's how we know he runs the Lakers.
True.
My stock down is got to be, you're going to take away a bronze medal. You're really going to take away somebody's medal when they didn't cheat, they didn't lie, they didn't do anything that we should be taking medals away from people who actually break the rules. But to take away a bronze medal from Jordan Chiles, I know it's American, so maybe I'm just being a little myopic, but again, to take away something when she did nothing wrong, right? And you're going to basically take this away on a technicality. And I appreciate Flavor Flav trying to come to the rescue to give her his own version of a bronze medal, and I believe one of the clock necklaces that he wore when he was famous with Public Enemy, he's continued to wear. But it's not exactly the same thing, Flav. So stock down to take away a medal when she did nothing wrong except for compete and do great and represent the U.S. well. She should get to keep her medal.
Okay, yeah, I can't disagree. I'm just so glad, and you kind of disagree with me on this a little bit. I'm just so glad she still has a gold from the team events. If she'd walked away with nothing, and that would have been such a tragedy. Like, because that's what I hate, when you have a medal and you don't have any medal, that would be terrible.
Okay, can I give you guys someone who I wasn't sure if they're stock up, stock down, maybe it's just stock neutral. What do we do with Snoop here?
Well, I had one more. I had stock up, stock down on celebrities.
Okay, go ahead.
Stock up Tom Cruise for flying. Yeah. Stock down Jimmy Fallon for being the wrong person to represent celebrities at the USA Basketball. And then I was going to ask you, is Snoop closer to Tom Cruise being super cool, or was he overplayed a little bit?
So, that's not his fault, right? He's getting $500,000 a day or whatever. Like, I'd sign up for it too, just to show up and be you. I think they overexposed him a little bit. And here's my thing about Snoop Dogg. Does this actually help him? Like, does his Q rating, Snoop's been famous our whole lives, basically. Doggy Style came out in 91. It's been It's been a long time that we've had Snoop in our lives. Can he get more famous? Can he?
Well, yeah. I mean, he's obviously crossing over into a much more mainstream. Like it's like he's sitting there
With Martha Stewart, but like...
And Mike Tirico. I mean, like him and Mike Tirico, like... Yeah, I mean, this is different degrees of famous. Now he's like Oprah Winfrey famous or something like that. He's like crossed over, like whatever he was. In 92, he was actually a musician.
Sure, and maybe controversial even a bit. Now he's not at all.
Now he's like America's dad
But
almost.
here's... America's stoned dad. But here's the thing. Pam and Carol, your mom and my mom, already knew who Snoop Dogg was. Like him crossing over, how much of a new audience is he really getting? You know?
I don't know. I mean, how many people watch the Olympics? You think Snoop was... It's just not just that he gets a new audience. Like he's now acceptable as this host of all things.
Yeah, I thought he was maybe before the Olympics, but maybe I'm wrong. 855-212-4227 coming up. We do a little old school, new school. This one's going to be fun. You're going to love it. If you are a sports fan, stay tuned.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Got Tyreek Hill challenging Noah Lyles to a race. We've got preseason NFL. We've got a lot to do today. It's Maggie and Perloff. Welcome to the show. But all of that takes a backseat for just a moment, because we're bringing back something that was a little bit on ice, Perloff, over the last week because you were on vacation. Little Maggie and Perloff, old school versus new school.
It's Maggie and Perloff's Old School, New School.
All right. Today's old school, new school. Not traditional.
Okay.
Today we take a listen to some of the great sports announcers of our time. We're kind of keeping it to football because, it's football season, basically. Old school football announcers versus new school football announcers. Now, what are we talking about? In order to be old school, you can no longer be broadcasting, okay? So these are guys from years
80s,
ago.
90s, or even before.
If you're still currently broadcasting, you're still in the new school. So let's hear a bit of the old school.
This stadium will be rocking tonight. Hello again, everyone. I'm Frank Gifford. We are happy you are with us.
They combine the running of Tony Dorsett right there with, of course, the utterly brilliant passing of Roger Staubach.
Marr to throw. They pick up the blitz. Marr has Freeman. I tell you, you talk about touch pass. He didn't put any touch on that.
Wow. I mean, by the way, can we just end the segment right now?
That's going to be hard to top.
Is there anybody who's going to pick anything? Is it possible to get better than what you just played?
That was Frank Gifford, Howard Cosell, and Pat Summerall, and John Madden. We're doing old school, new school broadcasters. Well, let's take a listen to the new school. New school means anyone who's broadcasting now.
Here's Kyler Murray. He's on!
Mahomes floats it up. Caught! Touchdown, Travis Kelce! Kelce finds a blank space for the score.
Handoff steps into it. Pass is caught! Diggs! Sideline! Touchdown! Unbelievable!
All right. You thought it couldn't be topped. We just gave you a lot of ammo there. New school, we gave you the Gus Johnson, the Iron Eagle with the Taylor Swift drop, and Joe Buck. And I know Joe Buck is controversial, but Joe Buck is a phenomenal broadcaster. So the old school versus new school announcers, Pearl, where do you come down?
Where do you think?
I'm just asking the question.
Oh, old school because they were more characters. Now I think guys are a little more buttoned up. Yes, I don't think you can be a character. Joe Buck, very professional. I love listening to Joe and Troy. They're awesome. But it's not like it's not something in addition to the game. Like you had to listen to John Madden because you had no idea what he was going to say. Right. And Howard Cosell and all these guys. And if you want to do college, obviously Keith Jackson. Yeah. We didn't really get into college yet. But I just think they were more characters. They were probably drinking on the set. There was just a lot more
That's
going
a positive.
on. Real quick, one of my mentors in this business, really good friend, Woody Fryman, who's now kind of runs the Yes Network, he came up working for Howard Cosell's crew on Monday Night Football.
Really?
He said when they got to a town, they were the biggest celebrities in town, bigger than the athletes. There's a gigantic party. When Monday Night Football hit in the late 70s, late 80s, it was like nothing, because there were only 3 channels.
Right.
So it was like nothing we have now. He said that they were so big that those guys, Frank Gifford and Howard Cosell, would walk along the streets and be 10 times more famous than any of the athletes. Because NFL wasn't
Frank
even,
Gifford was an athlete,
right,
so
but,
he has that.
But any of the current players, because
Sure.
the NFL also wasn't quite as big back then. It was more of a baseball country. And he said that Cosell and those guys were just like, there was something so special about that broadcast that added so much. Now I think we tune in because we want to see the game. Back then, I think you might tune in more for just the announcer.
See, I know that people say no one tunes in for the announcers. I think no one tunes out for the announcers, right? Like if you have someone who you don't love calling a game, I don't think you turn the channel.
No.
But I definitely tune in. If Gus Johnson's calling a game and it's a crappy game, I'm hanging around. We talk about this locally. We're doing football, but for baseball, I love the Mets announcing team so much. I stick around during blowouts when they start reading the media guide. It's fun. It's exciting. So I still think that today's announcers do have that element of if you really love their style, you know you're getting a good call regardless of what the score or the situation of the game is. You can appreciate it. Maybe that's because we're kind of nerds about this stuff. What I like about new school broadcasters is there was humor back then. I think you are allowed to have a lot of humor now. I think Ian Eagle definitely puts humor into his broadcasts. I think that it's an underrated part of his repertoire. And I think guys are so informed now that it does create somewhat, I don't want to say a better broadcast, because I'm not denigrating the guys from past. You just have more information. There's more out there in terms of what we know about athletes, stats, how you incorporate those. Like, let's take a color announcer like Chris Collinsworth is like a super, not that John Madden wasn't smart. Obviously, he's a genius. Collinsworth, I feel like, gives you a little something because he's also giving you the analytic part and the former player aspect.
My counter to that is, and then boom.
That's turducken, right? In my case. I got
you
it.
see, you take a turkey and then you stick it inside a duck.
And a chicken. So you said you thought the broadcasters back then were maybe more famous in some ways.
It had more character too, as broadcasters. Like they just brought something different than just facts.
I get it, but can I counter with that in a way that I don't think you're expecting me and what you're expecting me to say? I think Aaron Andrews is more famous than most of the players outside of a handful on the field. I bet she's more famous than the whole second string of the Chargers. But more people,
second string of the Chargers?
Yeah, more people are going to know who Aaron Andrews is, and let alone the Troy Aikmans and stuff like that, who obviously played the game. But I bet more people know Aaron as football fans. Like, I think she's as famous as any broadcaster, and I think she's more famous than most of the guys on the field. I'm being serious here.
Well, maybe, yeah. But I just think that Howard Cosell was more famous than Burke Jones back in 1978 or something. I just think it's a little different. Yeah, of course, Aaron's been he's super famous, doing this a long time. I don't know, though. I'm just not sure it's the same thing.
I think they're just as famous now is what I'm saying.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure there's another Madden or a Cosell. I think the only competitors would be Stephen A.
Who doesn't do games.
Yeah, if we're just talking games, and maybe some of the former players. Obviously, Tom Brady, if he does these games. But as a broadcaster, I would disagree with that. And as much as Aaron Andrews has done, she's also a team player. Like she doesn't pull herself out of the broadcast to do a bit like John Madden would do.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like Aaron Andrews, her main job there is to inform and report. She's not like, I'm going to be Aaron Andrews and I'm going to do something that you're going to remember me that is aside from the game. Madden and Cosell would do that, for better or worse. You might argue there was too much of that.
A little too much.
Who's a lot like them? John Gruden was a little bit like them, where he would make it a show that had very little to do with what was going on in the field.
Right. It was more like the Gruden show, right?
Yeah. Which was a turnoff for some people.
Okay, we're talking about old school versus new school football broadcasters. You're right. We're pretty much keeping this to the NFL. But what did you prefer, the style? And again, we're describing old school as guys who are no longer broadcasting. So if you're out of the game now, as opposed to still currently on your game, 855-212-4227. Charlie is our pal in Vancouver, Washington. Charlie, old school broadcasters or new school?
First, let's go back a couple months. Perloff, feed your daughter some protein. She's 14. She's growing up. She's got to have protein even though she doesn't have muscle. That's how she builds muscle. All right. Hey, love me some Kevin Harlan from now. He's the only guy that compares to old school, in my opinion.
Love Harlan.
Old school. What about Dandy Don Meredith? I know you guys probably a little too far, but, man, when him and Howard and Frank were in the booth, they were all so different. It was so awesome. When the game was put out of reach, Dandy Don would be drunker than hell with his southern accent singing, "Turn out the lights, the party's over," and Howard would just be so pissed. It was the best show in the world.
Charlie, we're overdue a really good Monday Night Football documentary. I know there probably have been one, but who would not watch that? Because you're right. From everything I know, obviously Don Meredith singing was a big thing, but it just seems like everything about it was cool.
Yeah, Alex Karras after that, too. I mean, you had some controversial dudes in there. It was pretty cool. It was awesome. And you're right, buddy. It was the best in the world because in the days of only 3 channels, people couldn't watch 100 things. So everybody watched the same thing and everybody could talk about it.
Yeah.
It was very, very cool.
Charlie, thank you. All-encompassing phone call from our man in Vancouver, Washington.
Yeah.
Talking about how your daughter only eats carbs and also
the
teenager.
one pasta. She will only eat plain pasta, no butter, maybe a little salt if she's feeling dangerous.
It's kids, man. They just have their own hang-ups. And then old school versus new school broadcasters. And yeah, Dandy Don Meredith, you're so right. Where is the 30 for 30 on the Monday night booth?
I think there has been some sort of documentary. I mean, obviously, there's been a lot of coverage of Howard Cosell. He's quite famous.
Well, ESPN might not want to do it because it might look, some of it might put ESPN in a tough spot, right? I mean, why things ended with, Dennis Leary, not Dennis Leary, Dennis Miller.
No, but I think you do 1971 was when it started to 1985. Okay. You know what I mean? Like
But don't you want the Kornheiser? Don't you? How did we come up with the Booger Mobile? Like, whose idea was that?
No. Like, this is like high-end famous Monday Night Football, not when it became like the third best game of the primetime schedule.
Let's go to Dana's in California. Old school versus new school NFL broadcasters. Dana, what's your side?
Hi, good morning, you guys. Old school, I can never, ever get past how much I loved Joe Starkey. From the first time I heard him call the play with Cal Stanford, that just frantic screaming and shouting. I mean, he was amazing. And even as Stanford alumni, I would listen to Cal games just to hear Joe Starkey.
Wow.
I thought he was just amazing and just right up there with my man Sadaru O in the all-time greatest. He was just fantastic. And I love your show. It helps me wake up when I'm driving to work every morning. And Maggie, I think you're just the cat's pajamas. So thanks for all you do.
Oh, Dana, thanks so much for calling in. Appreciate the kind words.
Yeah, what the hell, Dana?
And Perloff would love a compliment as well.
Yeah.
He said he loves the show.
Oh, great. And Maggie, you're the cat's pajamas? Is that what he said?
Yeah, cat's pajamas, cat's meow. I accept all.
Okay, by the way, we have not had a good Monday Night Football documentary, but we did have a live-action movie where people played the actual people. John Turturro, the character actor, played Howard Cosell.
I could see it.
Then Nick Turturro. Aren't you friends with Nick Turturro?
Yeah.
He played Chet Forte, the famous producer or director. Patty Lupone played Emmy Cosell. Yeah, so Eli Wallach was Leonard Goldenson. I don't know who that was, some producer.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is we got to watch that. Let's put that on our list of assignments. John Turturro is Howard Cosell. If I show you the picture, you're going to laugh. I'm telling you, that booth, I've heard stories. That was old school dominates this category.
Okay, but there's still like fun, gossipy tension in the new school. New school's got everything old school
It's
had.
too commercial. There's too much money at stake now. They can't screw around like they used to.
You're telling me that you think that this sounds buttoned up to you?
The 2 carries for 19 yards for Wilson. He'll roll out. Looking. Touchdown, Seattle. Feed the beast, DK Metcalf.
I mean, Gus.
That's one of Gus's most buttoned up calls.
Actually,
usually it's just incoherent screaming.
That's what I love.
Gus writes all that in advance. I know. Yeah, I've watched a million Gus Johnson. It's not like it used to be. I mean, those guys were barely watching the game back. Like you said, you like the Mets broadcasting team.
Yeah.
You know why you liked it? Because it's old school. Because they don't pay attention to the game and they just have fun. That's old school by definition. That's what I grew up with baseball too. It's awesome. Now these guys are just, they're way too into the game.
Man, if we expanded this out beyond NFL, like if we were doing, we could do baseball, we could do college football, basketball. There's so much good stuff on this. Did you know the show John Oliver? Have you guys familiar with him? The comic
HBO, yeah.
who does HBO. He now takes random John Kruk calls and puts them together as a segment, and they are so bizarre. I mean, we could really have fun with this. Maybe we keep it going through the season.
Oh, I'd love to. Yeah, I mean, but again, you don't get more old school than John Kruk. That's the thing. When an announcer is fun, and Gus is kind of old school too. Like, I know he's not really new school. First of all, Gus has been around a while. Like,
that's true.
The new school guys are like, Noah Eagle,
yeah.
Totally button up, professional, knows everything.
Yeah.
These guys are just outstanding professionals. Who needs that?
Yeah, Pat.
I was going to say, I disagree in the sense of buttoned up. I think buttoned up in terms of the preparation and being able to put in stories and stats and stuff. But the calls, the emphatic calls nowadays are anything but buttoned up.
I think so too. Again, you have Ian Eagle throwing a Taylor Swift reference because he was dating Kelsey. This is before that even got confirmed. It was there. I think they have some fun. And
a good, a slam dunk, or when Curry hit that last three, Noah just going, oh, back then it would just be in 5 over the middle, touchdown, Packers.
I was going to say Brett Favre didn't play that long. Didn't play that long ago. I know you were a child, Pat, but
Tittle over the middle finds the receiver for 20.
It's funny too to watch them evolve. If you hear Joe Buck from 20 years ago, it's nothing. He barely is making the call. It's almost like he feels, and he's talked about this, he's embarrassed to even be there or didn't feel like he deserved it or whatever. And now he's way more emphatic. It's much better for the broadcast.
I don't know. Let the play speak for itself. That's what the great broadcasters did. And there's nothing better than just hearing the crowd roar. That being said, you're telling me that John Madden calling Brett Favre is not more interesting than
amazing.
These guys were wild back in the day. Cosell, you never knew what that guy was going to say. Now, it's much more predictable. Even the greats of today, you kind of know what's coming.
RG3 has a chance to be one of those unpredictable guys because, man, that dude is wild on a broadcast. It is nuts when he's out there.
Really?
Who gave that guy a mic? He's amazing. I love it. Keep it coming.
I don't think he's that wild. I actually agree with almost everything RG3 says during the game. He was big on Jaden Daniels when I was. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's in so much trouble for that stupid croissant tweet that nobody could get over that.
Oh, my God, I forgot about that.
Nobody could get over the dumb croissant tweet.
How do you even describe that? Is that a thing? People taking pictures like that?
No. I mean, can you explain what it is? Because I don't want to.
Okay. Basically, RG3, and that's his wife, right?
Yes.
Okay. They found the most gigantic croissant that exists in all of Europe. This thing was like a bomb. I don't know. It was novelty, clearly. It must have been 3 feet long, right? At least 2 feet long croissant, huge. And he's taking one bite out of it, and his wife is taking another bite out of it. And at each end. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah,
that's enough. A little more context. RG3.
Nope.
The mouth is wide open.
No. This is theater of the mind. I think everybody got it from my description. You can look it up. EJ, yes.
The thing that I've seen now is people being photoshopped from that picture. So now all people are liable to be used in that stupid picture.
I hate the world we live in sometimes.
Jalen Brunson was like, please do not put my face and Josh Hart's face on that picture. Guess what happened 2 seconds later? Bam! the Bing Bong Knicks have two guys on the one end of a croissant. It's terrible. Thank you, RG3, for nothing. Now we're all liable to be in this stupid-ass picture.
Don't even put it in the
Great,
universe.
thanks, EJ.
Yeah. Who do you think it's going to be? Not you and Pete.
It better not be.
Thank you.
I only have one knee, but I will use the other knee to find who puts me in that picture.
855-212-4227. Yes.
My first thought was not that this is obscene, this photo, which it is, but that's a lot of carbs in that croissant.
You're worried they won't be able to work it off?
Like it's one thing to have an embarrassing photo. It's another, you're going to have to go jogging for 45 minutes afterwards to work off that croissant.
Something tells me RG3 is in good enough shape. He can handle it. Listen, he's in Europe. Live a little. Let your hair down. But that one was a mistake. And it's one thing to take a picture. It's another to post it.
Well, I think he knew what he was doing.
Trying to be funny. And it was.
Are we laughing with him, though?
He's secure enough.
That's true. 855-212-4227. Okay, and that is Old School, New School. This is actually where the segment started. Old School, New School, NFL broadcasters, 855-212-4227. And this portion of the show is brought to you by Ethos Life, the easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam and just a few health questions. Get your free quote at checkethos.com. Not available in all states. See you guys on the phones. Old school broadcasters or new, what's your fancy? It's Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This is a Larry Allen highlight film. I'm not kidding you. I mean, watch, he's going to pull and make contact right here. Watch it. Here's where he's going to end up. Now watch that. Boom! Look at that. I mean, he knocked him right out of the picture. You kidding me?
You know what's great about John Madden? He was he had the chops as a football analyst too. He wasn't like just some guy who was making it all up. And he sort of invented, for all intents and purposes, a telestrator where he would start drawing weird things with his yellow marker. Eddie, have you ever worked with a telestrator before? I was a producer when Kirk Herbstreit was learning how to use a telestrator. I did a year of college football, which changed my life. And Herbie was like, I don't really want to use this thing. Because I remember Matt would just start drawing, and all of a sudden he'd be like, well, this kind of looks like a face, and then he'd get off the screen. Yeah, right. I mean, anytime an announcer does something fun and charismatic, you're like, that's old school. So this is definitely our debate, old school, new school, Maggie and Perloff styles, old school broadcasters versus new school broadcasters. This is such a slam dunk for the old school. It's not even close.
Yeah, see, I think the new school guys are having a lot of fun. They're definitely a little more button up because that's like our society now. I think you have to mind your P's and Q's a little bit more, and especially behind the scenes, stuff like that. But I think these calls live up to the moment. Pete, can I have cut 13, please? You're telling me you weren't excited when you heard this?
Purdy with a lot of time. Steps into one. Launching deep. Going for Brandon Aiyuk. It is. Oh, he caught it off the ricochet. What a play from Aiyuk. Let's see if it stands.
Nah. Well, that's okay. But one thing, anybody can call like a great touchdown in a playoff game. It was the mundane plays that were so exciting with all these other. The old school guys can make something out of nothing. Anybody could call that Brandon Aiyuk touchdown. Okay,
I've got the perfect one for you. We're going to get to Bogish's update, and then I will give you the one play from a broadcaster, a new school current broadcaster, that will slam dunk win this argument for me. But Bogish has his headlines first. I promise this will win the new school argument.
It won't.
Bogish, what do you have?
Guys, we are still not done with Tyreek Hill. He is faster than Noah Lyles, and he's better than Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, for sure. I'm him.
In case you want further explanation.
He's great, obviously, for his team. You feel me? Like, they won 2 back-to-back Super Bowls, yada, yada. They did their thing, right? Now, you look at me. 2 back-to-back, 1,700, Pro Bowl, All-Pro, this, that, all-decade, this, consistency. All that, man.
All that from Up and Adams with Kay Adams on FanDuel TV.
I mean, this is on brand for Hill. This was the players, who were deciding that Patrick Mahomes was the 4th best player in the NFL, and this is why the players can't have nice things like voting for the Hall of Fame and like voting for MVPs and stuff because they can't be trusted.
I mean, Mahomes wasn't great last year during the regular season.
I mean, what are we doing?
He had a 92.9. Yeah. I mean, I get it though. No, that was a weird one. But again, Mahomes was an MVP last year. Let's be honest about that. Anyway, regardless, yes, of
Is
course.
Super Bowl MVP not good enough for you?
Everyone knows players shouldn't be voting on things because it's totally random.
Well, wait a minute. Then there's some writers out there
who
that
also
shouldn't have a
bias.
vote.
Sure.
That should not have a vote for anything. I mean, the way they conduct themselves. I mean, come on.
Yeah, but do you think that Tyreek Hill, if we had an open draft, do you think that Tyreek Hill would be the first player off the board?
Absolutely not.
He's not. It would be Mahomes. And maybe Lamar Jackson, who was number 2 on the list and above Patrick Mahomes, but even that I thought was controversial.
Some might consider Hill because you could pair him with a quarterback that you can get later.
Yeah, you can pair him with anybody. But
well, also 2 years ago, I think 2 years ago, Hill might have been the top non-quarterback in the league.
see, that's the other thing. You can't say Mahomes had a bad year. Hill was hurt last year. At the end, he really tailed off. So if we're just going by last year, he didn't really end the season on a high note.
If you're doing reality, the top 15 on this list should be quarterbacks.
Well, that's just the sport.
Yeah, that's a sport. That's what I'm saying. So regardless, though, but the bigger point is there's so many times where guys vote for their friends, and like player votes have always been somewhat nutty.
I think we also need to keep the main thing here, which is Tyreek Hill believes he could beat Noah Lyles in a race. And listen, if track and field wants to stay relevant in years that are not Olympic years and want us to tune in, I'm not above a gimmick. I'm not above a spectacle. Let's do it. Noah Lyles is going to win, so Tyreek Hill will be the one that gets embarrassed.
I feel like after Usain Bolt won all those golds, they'd always do these ESPN specials like, we're going to see Usain Bolt race a horse, and it was never like anything real, right? Like it never delivered.
I think Tyreek Hill actually did race a cheetah at one point, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't really racing. It was some sort of virtual thing.
It was like a comparison.
Or Michael Phelps is going to race a shark, and that never really happened.
By the way, I watched that Michael Phelps versus the shark thing
too.
for like 40 minutes.
Yeah, was it good?
No, well, they kept stalling. I thought it was going to be a real shark, not next to Phelps. I know that would be silly, but I thought maybe the shark would be like in some kind of water chamber.
What's silly about that?
Well, how would you get
next to him? Let's go.
Right next to him.
Even in a water chamber, how would you get the shark to know how to? Would you train the shark?
You put a little chum
Another
at the
false
end.
start of the shark.
Like how you get a mouse to go. Like how you get a mouse to go through a maze. You put cheese at the end.
I put Michael Phelps at the end.
First of all, this sounds a little inhumane to train the shark in this little chamber.
I'm not trying to put laser beams on its head. I mean, just put a little food at the end of it and have the shark race and Michael Phelps race.
But then first of all, you have to starve the shark. So how do you know he's going straight for the chum?
I think they're always eating, right? They're predators. They're apex predators.
Yeah, but they just sort of chill and they come up and eat. Yeah, I understand what a shark is, but
it feels like Maggie doesn't, though.
No, I get it. I just want to be like, this is how you know I've worked in media, television, radio for as long as I have. It's like I need to see something bloody.
Well, you want to see Tyreek Hill race Noah Lyles. The point is, all these post-Olympic races are all crap. They never, first of all, they do a 45-minute build-up, and then you'd actually never see the race or something, because obviously he's going to beat him by a half a second.
I know, but again, it's like, I'll sit around for 40 minutes of pregame.
Oh, you're going to end up disappointed. I'm telling you right now, you're not going to like this.
But it's my money, and it's my time. But do you love how I made this a pay-per-view?
Yeah.
That's why they
if you pay for it, no, I would not let you pay for that event.
I flew to Vegas to watch Conor McGregor fight Floyd Mayweather. I'm not above going for a gimmick.
That was way different. That was interesting.
That was not a bad fight.
No, that was very interesting to see McGregor try and fight there.
I meant Bruce Willis.
You guys ever heard of the bear versus shark? If you filled up a pool halfway with water where a bear can stand but a shark can swim, who would win the fight? That's like a famous debate.
Yeah.
Who do you got?
Oh, you're asking me now?
Yeah, I always go with the shark, but a lot of people think the bear would win this one. A grizzly bear, like a really strong grizzly bear.
Well, this is new to me, so I'm.
You ever heard of bear v shark? There's also a book about it. Like this is like one of the famous debates.
Do you know there's kids books like this now?
Bear v shark?
Yeah, it's just like who would win, and my kid has one. It's like all random dinosaurs and other prehistoric and current things. Who would win?
Oh, new that's school, awesome, by the way. I wish I had that.
Is it a Dilophosaurus or a like crocodile?
If you put a velociraptor in water against a prehistoric great white, I'm paying $29.99.
I'd probably go with the shark. I think anytime you could pull something down to drown it is probably what I'm gonna. Advantage water.
Yeah, but okay, whatever. I'm not gonna get into it because the Grizzlies could come. They could use that gigantic claw and get to the shark's face.
Okay, but what if the shark is the bear's foot? Like a leg?
Yeah, I mean, I think the shark is the Vegas favorite.
You got to tell me how big the tank is here because the shark needs a little maneuvering room. The bear is a better close quarters fighter. The shark needs to be able to pick
All
up
of a sudden,
some
here
speed.
comes the Lampley. They're fighting in a phone booth.
Exactly. You're fighting in a phone booth. The bear's going to win.
And how deep is the water?
It's
waist high.
Waist high.
So like the bear's upper torso is out of the water.
At worst.
At worst. Yeah, you need enough water where the shark can swim and the bear can breathe.
We got another question
hunting,
here.
Keep in mind, Pat, the bears hunt in water.
Yeah,
right, but for salmon, not for great whites.
So what? She's a bigger fish.
Billy asked, Big Zoo or Boyle, who would wrestle more ladies at the retirement home? Also a great what if.
By the way, and you say that great whites are apex. You ever seen a killer whale eat a great white?
Yeah.
Now that is, I don't know who's going to challenge that animal. Anyway.
Well, winner of bear shark gets the orca.
This
That's
is
the
why
semifinal.
we need Tyreek Hill versus Noah Lyles.
It's
because
basically the same
door is
thing.
open on way more opportunities like this.
What about an orca that gets an elephant?
It's a stupid question, Pete. Do we think... What are you talking about? Do you understand the game?
No, I don't.
How's an elephant going to fight the orca?
Yeah, I mean, come on. In water? No,
if it
go
can
on
swim.
vacation.
You ever seen like those movies 300 about the Trojan War where the bad guys would come in on the giant war elephants? Maybe Pete's onto something.
See? Yeah, I know what I'm talking about.
How do you think Alexander the Great got over the Alps?
Thank you.
Sharks?
Yeah. With
By the way,
orca.
I know this sounds like we're talking totally random nonsense, but this actually, Noah Lyles versus Tyreek Hill leads naturally to this kind of
It's like
conversation because it's a ridiculous what if.
It's a gateway drug.
Yeah, it's a ridiculous, it's as silly as a bear versus shark because Noah Lyles would run backwards and beat him.
Very easy to set up the race, though. Fly Noah Lyles to Miami for Dolphins training camp.
No, Tyreek Hill has to do it after the season. He can't do it now.
Why not?
He runs all the time.
He should do it now.
He can't run 10 seconds?
If I was the Dolphins, I would say absolutely not. No way. On his own, as soon as the season's over, do your thing.
Because you think he'll tear his hamstring?
Yeah.
I don't even want to risk it.
Pat is right, though. It's a lot easier than setting that race up than an orca versus an elephant.
The logistics, you mean?
That's a big tank. Yeah, the logistics of a giant elephant versus an orca.
Are you kidding me? Just call the San Diego Zoo.
Yeah, you got SeaWorld. San Diego Zoo.
Do we think Tyreek would actually show up for this race?
Yes.
No. There's no way.
I think he likes
Tyreek's
to say
a
he's
master
faster.
talker.
Yes.
A master talker.
Because he knows he would lose, and he doesn't want to lose. So he'll do everything except actually run.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's just like the Phelps versus the shark.
Yeah, the shark no-showed.
You pay Tyreek Hill, he'll show up.
I really think it would be close.
No way.
Because Tyreek Hill hit his top speed in 2022, 23 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And Noah Lyles was running 27.8 or something miles an hour for his race. So you think about Tyreek Hill with pads and a helmet and carrying the ball. And he was running 23 miles an hour.
Yeah.
No pads, no ball, no helmet.
This is why I want to see it.
Well, Tyreek Hill, though, is 31. I bet you there's, 25 NFL players are faster than him.
All right, Xavier Worthy versus Noah Lyles.
Well, that's what I was wondering. Is Hill really the guy anymore? I mean, he's still super fast.
He's the guy to sell it.
Yeah. That's true. That's a good point.
I've got actual NFL news, guys. Lions sophomore running back Jahmyr Gibbs reportedly hurt his left hamstring at practice last night. No update on him yet today.
Well, did you see this guy, by the way, on Twitter who claims to be an insider? And I went through his Twitter, and it doesn't seem like one of those butt crack sports things. He says they feared of a torn ACL, and people are roasting him.
Oh, wait, for Jahmyr Gibbs?
Yes.
Ooh.
But I thought it was reported a hamstring injury.
That's what the mainstream report is. It's hamstring.
Wow. I got to tell you, this stinks. Because isn't he the most exciting player? I can't think of 5 guys I'm more interested to see next year.
In the entire league?
Yeah, I mean, Jahmyr, he's definitely the most exciting running back right now. I mean, we've seen all the other guys. I think he's one of the most exciting players. He is such a home run hitter. He's such a rare running back. This stinks.
Well, and also, I hate to be that person, just the fantasy implications you might want to think about. Also, if there's an ACL versus a hamstring, and not to be, callous about it, but it seems like he's, doesn't sound like a season ender.
Honestly, ACL, at least not to draft him. Hamstring, that lingers, and it's the worst. So you draft him high, and then you don't know. So honestly, a hamstring is worse. But this is super disappointing because that team, that's an it team, and he's definitely their it player. So I'm disappointed.
Do you guys know on Reddit they do something called AITA? Am I can't say the last one. Did I just pull one of those with the draft, with the fantasy thing?
I got nothing.
Is it too soon for me to bring up fantasy when you just hear that a guy got hurt?
I'm what?
I'm lost. You lost me at AITA.
Yeah. Sorry,
Okay, you guys have never heard of this
Am
before.
Am I the asshole?
Can't say that.
Hey, we're on the radio.
3, 2, 1.
Hey, Zoo.
Was I on? To be fair, that's a fair question. This is a team effort.
It's like a.
It's a question. Like, I didn't want to pay for the bridesmaid's dress, and everyone else paid for it. Am I the bleep? Am I the bleep? Because I just brought up
fantasy football.
That I brought up fantasy football when we were talking about an actual real person's injury.
Are you kidding me?
I'm just asking.
Wait.
Is there like, do you have to let it breathe for a couple minutes before you bring up?
You're saying if
fantasy.
There's a question about an NFL player's injury, and that would make you a jerk for bringing it up as what?
I'm just asking, is there statute of limitations on this thing?
That's insanity.
Okay.
I mean, what do you think America is doing right now? They're sitting in there like, well, I don't know if I want to draft this wide receiver because I don't know if he's a nice guy. Are you kidding me? You're telling me there's millions and millions and millions of dollars going to fantasy football that we don't have the right to immediately ask what's the extent of this leg injury? That's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
All right, I feel better now.
Now you're the A.
Yeah.
Now he's the A.
Are you working sports and you just said, oh, man, am I a jerk for worrying about Jahmyr Gibbs' ACL? Why do you think they're getting $30 million a year to play football? Because we all are betting and playing fantasy football on them.
All right, I won't ask again. I do have the slam dunk way I'm going to win this argument against Perloff about old school broadcasters versus new school, but we have to save it for the next segment. Perloff thinks old school NFL broadcasters are better than new school, and I have the mic drop on the new school. And we're going to play it for you after the break.
Can't wait.
Okay, don't move. Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff. So we're doing a debate today, old school versus new school NFL broadcasters. And the line of demarcation is you're considered old school if you're no longer broadcasting. So the Summerall and Maddens, the Howard Cossells. You're new school if you are currently broadcasting. So give me the Gus Johnsons and the Iron Eagles and the Jim Nance.
Where's Al Michaels?
And Al Michael.
Oh, yeah, I know he's still on Amazon. Right.
Might be AI, but
I was
he's
just saying,
there.
Does AI Al Michaels count?
No, we get it
That's
for Thursday.
new school.
Yeah, that's the super new school or post-apocalyptic new school. Anyway, Perloff, you've been arguing for the old school, and part of your reason is why
they're bigger characters,
and you think like looser, right?
Oh, heck yeah, drunk. That was mostly the scotch.
Okay, and you're saying now the reason why old school is better is because they're looser, less buttoned up. Today, everyone's a little corporate. It's a little bit more down the middle.
Yeah, their ties are tied tightly. A lot of stats and analytics.
And I'm arguing for the new school. And I'm going to win that argument by playing you this clip from legendary new school broadcaster Kevin Harlan.
Second down, 20, 5:03 to go. Someone has run on the field. Some guy with a brawl. And now he's not being chased. He's running down the middle of the 40. Arms in the air in a victory salute. He's pulling down his pants. Put up your pants, my man. Pull up those pants. He's being chased to the 30. He breaks a tackle from a security guard. The 20, down the middle, the 10, the 5. He slides at the 1, and they converge on him at the goal line. Pull up your pants, take off the bra, and be a man. And the players with hands on hips at the other end of the field are looking at him and shaking their head and saying, why, oh, why is this taking place in a Super Bowl?
We bow to you, Kevin Harlan. Biggest game, biggest possible stage, as loose as could be.
Even that sounded pretty professional.
Yeah, right. Be a man.
Do you think that's loose? Somebody pull up the Spider Y2 banana play. That was actually quite professional.
It was
Kevin
great.
Harlan's the best, but
He's the man. And that's my evidence and argument that the new school guys are not as buttoned up as you claim.
You don't think that was button up? That was the most professional call of a streaker you've ever heard. you honestly should have heard Summer on Madden going back and forth. It's like they were watching some other game and just actually they were, I think, both sober. But regardless, I like the again, very professional. Kevin Harlan made that sound like it was the fourth quarter 2-minute drive of streakers. That was awesome. But definitely, like, come on, even you admit it. Old school is better.
Listen. Maybe
and like, is Kevin Harlan really the new school broadcaster?
Well, this is our line of demarcation. If you're no longer broadcasting, then you're old school. If you are broadcasting, now you're new school. And Kevin Harlan is all over the place. He does radio, he does TV, he does football, he does basketball.
I feel
He's
like
a
Kevin
national treasure.
Yeah, I feel like he's kind of old school. Kevin Harlan.
He's the best. 855-212-4227. You could weigh in here. Are you with Perloff on the old school or me with the new school? I'm sorry.
Yeah, who is like the ultimate new school broadcaster? I mean, is it as simple as Noah Eagle because he's 23 years old?
he's super
and
young.
he was awesome during the Olympics. I really enjoyed him.
He did a great job.
But
I think to me, it's the Gus Johnsons and the Iron Eagles guys who Gus because of. I mean, Gus, you could put in any era. I think he would be great in any era, but he's in the new school now, so I'll take him now. And then I think Iron Eagle is one of the funniest broadcasters. He, as a play-by-play guy, he's doing the funny bits as opposed to, and his color guy is actually the straight man. And Charles Davis does a phenomenal job. And Dan Fouts did a great job before him. But Ian's the comedy guy, and they're the straight guys as the analysts, which is funny. EJ, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I think the way to describe the quintessential new school announcer is somebody who is in their prime now. Like, I think you can totally include a Jim Nantz or include some of the older guys who are still broadcasting and say they're new school, but we know they've been in their prime for 20 years.
Yeah.
I think, as Maggie said, like, Iron Eagle right now is at the top of his game. Like, Gus Johnson at the top of their game.
Kevin Harlan.
Not just Kevin Harlan, not just their skill, but also like they're now doing the biggest game. Like Gus Johnson, he was doing the D football game in like 2001, but like I wouldn't say that that's prime Gus Johnson. Like Maserati Marr is prime Gus Johnson because that's who we think of him today at the top of his game.
I think actually Gus on the NCAA tournament was, to me, that's the prime, but we're doing NFL today.
I would say to me the new school would be Kevin Burkhardt and Joe Davis and like those like really very professional. They're also quite funny. Like they're great at what they do, but there just feels like there's a polish that wasn't there before.
Yeah.
I feel like when I think of old
Mike
school,
Tirico never flubs. Ever.
Yeah, but Tirico's been around a long time too. I don't consider him new school. I feel like there's this new era of broadcasters coming up, but I do think Noah Eagle's part of that too. And they're very sharp. And I think they're just slightly more buttoned up. And I think you brought up a good point. Like there's so much information to sift through. Like you can't not have the analytics in front of you because that person at home is on his phone with all the analytics. So you really got to do it a little differently these days. New school is just like very, very professional. Back in the old school, the wild, wild west.
855-212-4227. So you are welcome to weigh in. I suddenly, like, my stomach has dropped because Pat just got in my ear and said, what did you say to me?
We have Bills breaking news.
And I feel like what you're about to say is not going to be good.
Wait, is it an injury, Pat?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, don't tell me. Don't tell me.
I don't think it's the injury. It can't be the big guy.
Don't tell me.
The Bills have put a quarterback on IR.
No, just the way you said that, it's definitely not.
And it's Shane Buechele, or however you say his name.
Oh, yeah. That came out yesterday, didn't it? Did they sign Ben DiNucci?
They did.
Yeah.
So Ben DiNucci is, you are a Buffalo Bill.
The Bills make me wanna shout.
I want to kill you guys. I feel physically sick just for that 30 seconds that I thought even for a moment that Josh Allen had a hangnail. How dare you guys play around with me like that? Pat got in my ear and goes, you got some breaking news here. You got some breaking Bills news.
Breaking news just happened yesterday.
I know.
Well, Schefter just tweeted it out.
So it just happened.
I take his tweets for gospel as if they're happening in live time.
Ben DiNucci, by the way, I hope he makes the team. He's the greatest backup. He's the funniest, coolest backup quarterback there ever is.
Do you realize if Ben DiNucci has to take a snap, the season's over?
Oh, totally. Ben DiNucci is definitely the second best purely Italian backup in the
I'd
east side
rather
of the
have
United
Tommy Cutlets by a million.
But this is so you, Perloff. By the way, you're like, yo, you didn't know Ben DiNucci got signed to the Bills yesterday?
He's Mr. Third String
Knows
quarterback.
every third string quarterback in the NFL.
By the way,
Mr.
do you know
Backup.
that Shane Buechele was in the same quarterback room with Cam Rising in Utah? That is the greatest fact ever. Shane Buechele is in his 5th NFL year, and they were both freshmen at Texas together.
That's because
back in
Cam
2018.
Rising is 40.
Anyway, yeah, if you're going to open that backup quarterback conversation, Pat, then we're going to be here all morning long.
I might have to. I'm glad we're going to break because I got to take a couple deep breaths into a paper bag because you
Maggie.
guys just scared me so much.
Maggie, they would not treat a Josh Allen injury like that.
Yes, they would.
They would not.
They definitely would.
They would have hushed tones. You'd see them meeting secretly.
No. Coming up, someone's mad on a Super Bowl contender.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Got a story that's been going under the radar that shouldn't be. Hey, welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. So glad to have you. Mornings here on the Infinity Sports Network. And that's what's going on with a Super Bowl contender, Perloff, and the Cincinnati Bengals. And we talked a lot about Joe Burrow's hairstyle, and we've talked a lot about expectations for this team. We are not talking about the fact that JaMarrChase is just not practicing. And yesterday, Zach Taylor, the head coach of the Bengals, had some interesting clips, and we can play them for you now. Zach Taylor has a vague update on JaMarrChase.
No, we'll see. We'll just keep taking it day to day. He and I have had good conversations.
Yeah, it's like something's going on here with the most important weapon on the Cincinnati Bengals. And, you know, this is an opportunity for the Bengals. Well, it always is when you have Burrow. But he's going into the season healthy, right? He's rehabbing his wrist injury that was kind of odd and unique, but it seems like he's on, no restrictions, stuff like that. They're monitoring, but everything seems like it's trending in the right direction is what I'm trying to say. And you may have an opportunity here, Perloff, where the Kansas City Chiefs are trying to do something that nobody has done, which is three-peat.
Right.
So if you were just talking about the odds are Kansas City's not going to win a third Super Bowl in a row. You have the Buffalo Bills, who have to take on a ton of dead cap money with Stephon Diggs, got rid of a lot of veterans. A lot of people think they're going to be taking a step back. There could be an avenue and a lane here for the Cincinnati Bengals to get back to the Super Bowl. And it feels like, are they messing around here with this JaMarrChase thing? Like, what is going on here?
Maggie, do you have the ability to learn this offseason this summer? Are you paying attention?
What?
All these things, these are negotiations. Come week 9, we're not even going to remember this happened. Nothing. This is meaningless. They're negotiating. First of all, I don't know why they're not calling it a hold-in. It's obviously a hold-in with JaMarrChase. None of this affects any of that. They're just playing. They're negotiating, and we're listening to the noise. No, this does not hurt the chances of the Bengals to win the Super Bowl this year. Last year, the Chiefs had Chris Jones was in the stands watching the Chiefs in Week 1. He held out until September 15th. It doesn't matter. None of this matters. These contenders are going to be fine.
Okay, here's the difference. The Kansas City Chiefs already had Lombardi trophies in the case.
Yeah.
It's different. The pressure's different. Everything's different. And they know they've got, Andy Reid. They've got Mahomes. They have proven they can do this on the highest level. The Bengals got real close, but they didn't get it. And now things have derailed seasons. And here's my question about Chase. Is he actually think he's getting paid this offseason? Because they didn't pay Joe Burrow right when they absolutely could have. That even dragged out.
Right.
So what's the end game here? Does he think he's getting this now, like before the season starts? What are we doing? Because the Bengals don't exactly rush to pay guys. And so is he actually setting this up for next year? Like, we don't have enough information about this, about whether, have you heard anything, Schefter, Rappaport, any of these insiders, that they're close, that they're closing in on a deal? We've got nothing, but he's not practicing.
It's August 13th. This happens every summer to every team. This is just negotiating. I actually did hear Schefter say that he thought this was a different than Brandon Aiyuk. He said, and I quote, the Bengals have to pay JaMarrChase, and everyone thinks around the league that they will pay him because he's a little bit different than Aiyuk. he is the weapon. They have to pay him. So Schefter thinks they're just negotiating. And that's what this is. It's just a negotiation. This does not affect their chances of chasing the Chiefs because eventually he will be there.
Okay. Do you agree, though, that this year, out of almost any, presents an avenue for the Bengals? First of all, they've proven more than any team that they can win an Arrowhead, right? That puts you on a different level in terms of a real contender. Because the Bills haven't proven that. They haven't proven that they can go into Arrowhead in the playoffs and win. The Bengals have done that. So to me, it kind of puts them in a little bit of a separate lane here in terms of I've got to take these guys so super seriously. And now I want to make sure if I'm the Bengals, everything's great. Because here's the other part. We all know this about the Bengals. They don't start off great, right? They're a slow start team. And that could be fine because you want to be peaking at the end of the season. But this AFC, I think, is going to be crowded. And I think 10 wins, I think we are going to see this year AFC teams who get to 10 wins who are not in the playoffs. That's how good this conference is.
First of all, I disagree with one part of that. I think the Bengals window is gigantic. I mean, they have a huge because I think they're going to sign him, and I think that this year is no different than the year. They're going to be a contender every year. So that's one thing I sort of disagree with. I don't think there's a singularity in it. It's not an all-in year for the Bengals because where are they going? They have Joe Burrow. The other thing too is, I hear what you're saying about it's a competitive AFC, but we kind of thought that last year, and was it really? I mean, a lot of different things happened. Was it really a great AFC last year? I feel at the end, a lot of teams got hurt and a lot of things happened. You had Baltimore and you had Kansas City. I've honestly felt the NFC playoffs were more compelling in a weird way.
Well, yeah, maybe, but think about it. The thing that left the bad taste in your mouth was kind of the Baltimore really didn't show in that AFC Championship game. Baltimore was awesome against the Houston Texans, and the Texans came out of nowhere, and we were not expecting them to be a thing, and they became a huge thing.
Well, coming into last year, I thought the AFC was going to be this all-time quarterback conference, and Rodgers got hurt. Miami started out great, then their whole defense got hurt. They disappeared. Herbert got hurt.
Yeah.
It just felt like the entire
Trevor
AFC.
Lawrence got hurt.
So even with everything you
Deshaun
described,
Watson got hurt.
Yeah, everything you described is accurate, but it does feel like a lot can happen. Where this is a war of attrition. I don't feel like I feel like the Bengals are going to be there every year. I really do. I think that Burrow is that good. And I think they're going to work this out because Chase is more important than say Brandon Aiyuk.
Okay, but Joe Burrow's the most important. You'll agree, right? Joe Burrow's the most
100%,
important. Absolutely. They could have paid him after the third year.
Right.
And it ended up getting to September before the fourth year. So they're already into the season, basically, before he actually agreed to the contract. This is why you had to put your face in the bowl of Skyline chili and eat the chili with no hands, which is an all-time moment on the Maggie and Perloff show that I like to think about sometimes just in my private time. But anyway, this is where this could drag into the season. This isn't. And I just don't want to mess around because I'm with you. They've got to pay him. So what's the holdup? What are they waiting for? Because now it's past the point where this feels, like it's diminishing returns, no?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Honestly, I think if you were going to bet the team win total on the Bengals, I would not let this JaMarrChase situation affect your thinking in any possible way. I really don't think at the end of the day, I think first of all, they find a way to get on the same page. I think what teams and players are doing around the league is they are really negotiating. Yeah. They're playing hardball. And I think JaMarRchase knows he's going to play. The Bengals knows he's going to play. They're just waiting for the right time where they can get on the right number. So I think what you're seeing is a negotiation, not a real issue. Listen, that doesn't mean I'm right.
Yeah.
You're right. It could be like they aren't on the same page, but I feel like they both know the situation here. It's just the way they're talking and the way Chase is talking. Like they know it's going to get done. They're just sort of playing chicken on the deal.
Yeah, I don't know. 855-212-4227. Curious what you guys think about the Bengals, whether it's the JaMarRchase thing specifically, which again, take it a day by day. All right, cool. And then also, just is there a lane here and an avenue that sets up? Not saying that the window for the Bengals is anywhere close to being closed.
Right.
It just could be particularly setting up well for them this year because can Rodgers stay healthy? What's going on with the Bills this year? Are they taking a step back? Can Kansas City actually three-peat? What are the odds of that? The Ravens have not shown you with Lamar Jackson that they can get to the Super Bowl. Justin Herbert's already hurt. So this could be a moment here for the Bengals who went to the Super Bowl and lost, then Burrow got hurt, and then to regroup and get yourself back this year.
Yes, but again, why this year and not the year after?
For all the reasons I just said.
Yeah, no, I mean, but why not next year?
Because
next year should be a little even easier.
I think that it's really because of the Chiefs. I mean, again.
Yeah, but I feel like the Chiefs, I mean, they're going to really fall off, right? Like Kelsey's gone after probably this year, and then Chris Jones is getting old. Like, I feel like next year might be
they just paid Chris Jones, by the way.
Yeah, but I mean, listen, isn't he 31? He's getting up there. Maybe I'm a little wrong on that, but generally, like, the Chiefs are descending, not ascending, I would think. Sorry, Chris Jones is 30.
I mean, this is the thing about the Chiefs. I think this is the year, right? Like, if you are going to, again, you could point to the Chiefs and say, look at all the things they've overcome, and they still win, right? Taylor Swift distractions, all the Kadarius Toney distractions and drops, all the drops last year. The fact that the wide receiver unit was very mid. All the things that they've overcome, and they are still able to win.
Right.
What's stopping them?
Well, Kelsey will be gone. That's just a fact. That's a big deal.
No, it's a huge deal.
Yeah, it just feels like, I don't know. I feel like they're descending and not ascending. Like for the Chiefs, honestly, this situation described, like the Chiefs better win this year. Maybe not the Bengals, but the Bengals are, I mean, JaMarrChase is so young. Joe Burrow is so young. I would sign that dude for 8 years right now and be like, you know what? Hopefully we'll win it this year. If not, it's year after that, year after that, year after that, because this team is going nowhere.
855-212-4227. You're welcome to weigh in on the Bengals. Can I give you another small nugget that I heard from an AFC team that I think is going to be a contender, but you don't think so?
Yeah, which one?
The Chargers.
Yeah.
So yesterday, Jim Harbaugh, according to reports, was like in all of his Jim Harbaugh glory, like had the khakis back out, yelling and screaming, doing the fire and brimstone thing, and just like really giving everybody the full Jim Harbaugh.
Nice.
Listen to this all-time quote from Jim Harbaugh. There was an earthquake yesterday in Southern California. Did you guys see this? It was a 4.4 magnitude earthquake. You may have seen a clip going around with Malika Andrews is live on the air from the LA studios at ESPN, and the studio starts to shake, and she still goes on and does the broadcast. I mean, incredible focus by her and amazing. Jim Harbaugh says he didn't feel the earthquake.
Okay.
That can't be. It was a 4.4 magnitude earthquake that happened in Los Angeles. We saw it shake a TV camera, and they're practicing right in LA, and he says he didn't feel it. Everyone felt it at the practice facility with the Chargers.
What's the worst lie? That Jim Harbaugh had no involvement in the Michigan cheating scandal? Or that?
Why lie about that? Like, just say you felt the earthquake. It doesn't make you less of a man to not feel the earthquake.
I think he's indoctrinated himself to just lie whenever he opens his mouth. So
wait.
It's such a weird
George
lie.
Washington couldn't tell a lie. Jim Harbaugh can't tell the truth.
I got to be honest. We had an earthquake in New York. Maggie, you and I were sitting with our boss.
Yeah.
Tons of people didn't feel that. Like half the people I know were like, "Oh, I didn't feel anything."
I don't
people,
know.
I don't even know if everyone here.
Okay, but think about it. I think people in the building felt it that day. It's very unique for us. We don't get these things here.
Like if you were in the wrong place, tons of people did not feel that.
Okay,
that was huge.
But Jim Harbaugh was at the facility and other people all felt it, and he's the one guy who didn't feel it?
It's very possible. I hate to say it. Like the reality is a 4.4. Yeah, you might not have noticed it.
What, he's in the bathroom? Yes, EJ.
I believe Jim Harbaugh. I don't think he felt it. When there was an earthquake in 2013 in New York, it was a 5.8. I was in a comic book shop reading like Civil War or Dark Reign or whatever. And I came out and all these people were like, oh my God. And I was like, what are these people complaining about? I was reading Thor fighting the Sentry. I don't know what's going on. Apparently it was an earthquake. So like and Jim Harbaugh and
you think
my
he's
story
so
tells
focused?
You,
like you were
right.
so focused that day you
Exactly.
didn't notice the earth shaking. I don't know.
I was watching the Sentry tear Ares apart in Dark Reign. Okay, like when you're focused on something, the way Jim Harbaugh is focused on football, you don't feel things like earthquakes. It was a 5.8 in New York. I did not feel it at all. I didn't know why people were bugging out.
EJ, I noticed you weren't making out with girls. Maybe it's all the comic book reading. You weren't busy.
No, that was later. That was later in the night, Pearl. Trust me.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure you walked out of that comic book. We were like, come get some, ladies. Get out of here.
Oh, my God.
And trust me, I relate.
Yes. I was going to say, from one to another.
Yeah. You're speaking my nerd language there, buddy. No, it is true that obviously, that New York, my wife didn't feel that earthquake. I'm like, you didn't feel that earthquake? She's like, no. I don't think it works like that, Meg. I think in certain spots. You think Jim Harbaugh was being a tough guy for a 4-4?
Yes.
No, he had no idea. First of all, Jim Harbaugh is...
I think Jim Harbaugh wants to be like, I'm the force of nature.
No.
You feel me.
I think
I don't feel an earthquake. It feels me. Like, that's the kind of thing that I've been raised to hear Jim Harbaugh say my whole life.
Oh, my God.
Feels like.
Okay.
I believe Jim Harbaugh.
Of course you believe Jim Harbaugh. It was up 4.4. Probably 70% of the people felt it differently. You could be standing 9 feet away and not experience the earthquake.
The earthquake could have ruined his house, and his parents would have said, "Who has it better than us?"
Yeah, right.
Nobody.
Nobody. He's attacking the earthquake with an enthusiasm unknown to mankind. That's how Jim would spin this thing. He put the khakis on. It's like he's impenetrable. It's the force field.
He's the Chuck Norris.
Exactly.
Of college football.
He
and
wants
NFL
you to
coaches.
believe that.
Can I go back one step here? You said you have the Chargers as a contender and I don't. I feel like you're racking up a lot of contenders.
I do have a lot of contenders. I got the Browns and you don't, and I've got the Chargers and you don't.
And the Dolphins.
I do have the Dolphins in there.
So you understand that only one team gets out of the conference, because you also have the Chiefs and the Ravens and the Bengals to deal with.
I've got 7 teams making the playoffs, just like you.
Playoffs?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Once
I know,
you get in the playoffs, you're a contender to me.
100% no.
Listen, you get in, not all playoff teams are created equal. I'll give you that. If you're 7-9 winning the NFC South, I get you're not a contender.
No, it doesn't work like that at all.
Well, but I think it's actually 7 teams who would be making the playoffs in the AFC who not just got in by the skin of their teeth to the playoffs, who are actually contenders. I think the conference is that deep. You're telling me if the Browns are a 7 seed, they're not dangerous?
Yes. I'm telling you. I'm very much telling you that.
All right. Well, with Deshaun Watson, not with Jameis Winston.
I'm telling you, you have too many contenders. Just making the playoffs. I mean, look at last year's playoffs. Did anybody think that it wasn't going to be the Ravens, Chiefs, Niners? Honestly, I think the playoffs are way more predictable. You can't have 14 contenders. Just because you're a wild card team doesn't make you a contender. I think. And just you're going too deep.
You have a great quarterback. You have a chance.
Also, don't knick-knack, paddywhack Jameis Winston. Give that dog his bone.
I had the same reaction. I'm like, ooh, Jameis, that's spicy. Give me 5,000 yards, 30 INTs. I just think you're going to. Do you have the Texans as a contender?
I do.
Do you have that? You're at 7, 8. What about? Oh my God, this is just too many.
It's a tough AFC.
The Browns are 18th in Super Bowl odds.
Not in my book.
You should be betting a ton of money on these teams.
Who says I'm not? 855-212-4227.
Because I assume you're like
get out of my
everybody else,
DraftKings account.
putting money on the Chiefs because they're probably going to be in the Super Bowl and Cleveland's going to be home watching them.
Well, listen, Cleveland 4 quarterbacks later was in the playoffs last year, and if it wasn't for a couple of Joe Flacco pick sixes, I mean, they were right there. And they had all those injuries and the injuries to the offensive line and running back injuries and quarterback injuries, and they still made the playoffs. So let's say everything kind of goes back to, say they have a quote-unquote normal season where they don't lose 3 offensive linemen and they don't lose Nick Chubb, and they still have this great defense. I don't know what you're seeing that they're not a contender.
They got blown out by a team that barely made the playoffs and then turned around and got blown out the next week. That was not a contender. They were as far from a contender. They lost 45-14 in the wild card game to the Texans.
Listen, the Texans were a very good team.
Texans did not score an offensive touchdown the following week.
Fine, but you have the Texans as what? Super Bowl or AFC Championship?
Oh, my God. Are you kidding me? I have them this three-peat Super Bowl. I'm so into that team. Exactly. But regardless, you have to admit, the Cleveland certainly was not a contender. You're like a couple of Joe Flacco pick sixes. They were as far as you and I were from making the Super Bowl last year.
If Watson is healthy and he's good, you have your chance. 855-212-4227. Okay, you're welcome to weigh in on contenders. We also have our old school, new school debate raging right now. Old school NFL broadcasters versus new school. You taking the Summeralls and Maddens, the Frank Giffords and the Howard Cosell's, or do you have the Iron Eagles and the Kevin Harlans and the Gus Johnsons? And the Joe Bucks. 855-212-4227. Okay, lots more to do. It's Maggie Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff are so caught up. I mean, we are just arguing left and right today. Maggie has 14 contenders in the AFC.
I do.
This was like last year.
You know what? I don't think the Patriots are going to be a contender.
Well,
I'll give you that.
It's like last year's NBA where there was every single team in the West was amazing and there was like 2 good teams in the East. It does. You did this last year too, and I did it too. I remember 2 years ago, Russell Wilson went to the Denver Broncos. I'm like, the AFC West is going to have 4 playoff teams and 3 Super Bowl teams. And then last year, we looked at the AFC East with Aaron Rodgers, Miami, Buffalo, and Bill Belichick. And we're like, that's going to be the best. It never works out. None of this ever works out the way we expected. The AFC will probably be a massive disappointment.
Well, no, this is why you should get on board with my Cleveland Browns are a Super Bowl contender, because it's the last. You said they're 18th in odds. There is going to be a team like this where things that historically have not worked out will work out. Now, maybe it's everybody's Jets, EJ and Pete's Jets. Maybe they're the team where everything breaks right.
Yes.
It could be the Browns. It could be either one.
Or it could be the Kansas City Chiefs.
Or it could be the Chiefs there again. Listen, I mean.
How many times have they won the AFC in the last 5 years?
4, I believe. 4. They didn't have the number 1 seed last year because they were on the road.
The only time they haven't been in the Super Bowl in the last 5 years is the Bengals.
Yep.
That's my point. Even if it's going to take a lot to get past them. Also, look at their division. I mean, I think you could argue Baltimore and Cincinnati are 1 and 2 contenders, so Cleveland has to deal with them. And who knows about Pittsburgh? Although it does seem like Pittsburgh's having a bit of a rough road.
You know, do we have that Mike Tomlin sound? Yes. So this was Mike Tomlin was talking about, if you watch the Steelers preseason game, Justin Fields had a little problem with the center quarterback exchanges. 2 times they fumbled the ball, took a couple other sacks too. Here was Mike Tomlin.
You know, I thought he did some nice things, but obviously he was a component of the CQ exchange. And from my perspective, that's dual responsibility on the center and the quarterback. It negated a lot of good things going on in those first couple of drives. I think one definitively got stopped by it, went to 2nd and 14. You get behind the chains, particularly at the early stages.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's pretty lengthy response there from Mike Tomlin. Tomlin usually, sometimes will just shut it down, but I think he's telling you there. He said what happens in the stadium is going to have a lot more bearing than what happens at practice. And unfortunately for Justin Fields, those were some major errors that happened. Granted, it's a preseason game, but we know this quarterback battle, Perloff, is like, it feels like it's kind of razor thin.
Yeah, the thing that bothered me even more than the exchanges was holding onto the ball again. I mean, it just feels like for some reason he has trouble letting it rip. And I don't know why I kind of convinced myself that might not be as big a problem in Pittsburgh, but it sure felt like that way watching the game.
Well, also, who's he throwing to? Besides Pickens and Freiermuth, I mean, it's like pretty... You know what it's like to watch the Steelers offense. Sometimes it can feel a little constipated.
Well, it really didn't. I mean, listen, they've always had incredible talent at wide receiver. That doesn't mean they'll use it. It's Arthur Smith. Even if they had they had 3 Pro Bowl receivers, who knows who he would throw to. He spreads the ball around like crazy, and all he wants to do is run the ball, and all Tomlin wants to do is run the ball anyway.
Yeah, I think they would actually be well served to get Brandon Aiyuk, but again, you're right. To how much are they going to use him? We know they're interested, but now it looks like the 49ers and the wide receiver are back to the table.
But also, the Steelers are masterful wide receiver drafters. They're like the Atlanta, so I don't know that's not a team that should be spending. They should just be finding them. And I thought they think they had one in the Michigan kid, but he got hurt, right?
Oh,
Roman Wilson.
Roman Wilson,
yeah. I don't know how badly he's hurt, but that's not a team who needs to spend $30 million. Just do your draft magic. They're good at this.
See, but I think the other way, if they see somebody that they like, that they feel like they can get, and they're willing to spend $30 million a year, like, you're right. Steelers know wide receivers. So that would make me think they might, if you're going to spend that much, not only that you would use them, but they see something in Aiyuk that, you don't think he's a top 10 receiver in the league. I think clearly the Steelers see something in him, right?
Well, I guess even if they did spend that money, it'd be wasted on Arthur Smith, because I watched Atlanta and I watched Tennessee, and Tennessee was not a wide receiver-oriented offense. So I just don't think that investment made sense. But
855-212-4227. So you got Steelers' second preseason game looking ahead this weekend. They're going to play against Buffalo. I don't know if Russell Wilson's going to play at all, what's going on with that calf, but this feels like another huge opportunity for Justin Fields. Sometimes we overinflate the meaning of the preseason. Not for him. For him and for Trey Lance, for Justin Fields and Trey Lance, I feel like the preseason has just been so important to these two guys. And both, I don't think, really super impressed people in the first game. So
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little different. I don't think there's any way Trey Lance was beating Dak Prescott.
No, but just to be
the backup.
I even not be the backup, but just get people excited maybe about what the world could look like post Dak.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think if they can clear that cap space, if they don't go with Dak, like they're not going to Trey Lance. We know that, and I don't think he could have done anything this off. I just didn't consider that a realistic option. Justin Fields starting, and now I do consider very realistic.
855-212-4227. Got a couple polls. We'll update those for you in just a moment. But Andrew Bogusch is here with all the latest headlines. What's up?
Guys, hello again. So Brandon Aiyuk is not the only staring contest in the NFL right now. Teams have reportedly been calling the Patriots about Matthew Judon, who wants a new deal instead of making $6.5 million this season. And you might recall that the Jets traded for Haason Reddick in March because he wasn't happy with his contract in Philly. Gang Green apparently was told that Reddick would play for them, but has yet to show up. He asked for a trade yesterday, and GM Joe Douglas issued a statement to say no, as if Reddick was asking to join him on a drive to San Antonio. Unfortunately, there will be no further change to the Jordan Childs case. She will not keep her bronze medal from the floor exercise, with the Court of Arbitration for Sport saying it cannot reverse its previous decision. That one said that U.S. Gymnastics was 4 seconds late in filing the appeal that led to the change in score, which led to that bronze medal. U.S. Gymnastics says it now has video proof that the appeal came with 13 seconds to spare. But again, CAS will not revisit the matter. So this is, for all intents and purposes, over now.
Like, what a disappointing ending for this.
Well, especially because whether it's 13 seconds early or 4 seconds late, this began with a judge's mistake.
Yes.
It's not just about protocol. It's about the judges made a mistake. So then they got it right, which is why at the the worst case scenario should have been 2 bronze medals.
Yeah, to take away someone's medal when they neither cheated nor deceived nor did anything wrong feels totally not in the spirit of the Olympics.
Correct. And even 4 seconds late is like within the margin of error for being on time.
Right. It's like a poll, like a rounding error. Feels like
I don't know. I feel like we're taking a very American angle. Right now in Romania, they're Romanian sports talk radio.
Yes.
Boris and the gang are right now are saying finally justice has been served. I feel like we're definitely viewing this from our own angle.
Do you think they have fun drops like we do?
Yeah.
Romanian sports talk radio?
No chance.
Do they have a Peepalati?
Yeah. Well, he might be better looking, but he doesn't have my skill.
Do they have John Sterling being hit by a home run? I bet they do.
Boy.
Okay, so to baseball, all this time, it appears the struggling White Sox were simply playing the wrong team.
2-2 on the way, and he pokes a ground ball into the left field corner. Vaughn's going to score. Sheets has got another double. 6-2.
That's from White Sox radio. Chicago on its way to a 12-2 rout of the mighty Yankees.
They had no idea how to call that because they've never seen a double this season.
It's
he's rounding first.
He can do that?
What?
It's their first win in 3 tries under interim manager Grady Sizemore. They are now 29-91 overall this season. Those are real numbers. The Braves.
That's Len Casper, right? That's the guy who used to be the Cubs TV guy?
I think so,
he's seen some bad baseball. I don't know if he's ever seen what he has seen this year. He probably feels like he has a new lease on life after that win last night.
Oh, my. Hearing say the number again.
29-91.
Oh, that's awful. Whenever I hear it, I laugh. It's just so putrid. It's the worst.
They blew out the Yankees last night. Maybe this is the start of the turnaround.
Mm-hmm.
My offer still stands.
Our pal Shomarash said that was the worst Yankee loss of his life last night because Jazz Chisholm got hurt as well.
No, the worst Yankee loss of all time is Game 7 of the ALCS.
Yeah,
because that was also a blowout,
and he was alive for that.
Definitely, he might have been there.
The Diamondbacks game, maybe.
Right.
Jazz Chisholm got hurt. Sean Marash upset me. Jazz Chisholm, who's been here for 9 days, got hurt. It's not like they just lost. I don't know, Chris Chambliss. Or I can't think of he's the least Yankee of all Yankees.
Greg Nettles is still.
I just trying to think who's a Yankee institution. Jazz Chisholm has been here 2 weeks.
I know,
and that ruined Marash's month.
I will say this: I loved them losing to the Marlins on their home field in the World Series in 2003.
Yeah, that one sucked too.
Yeah, but we shouldn't give Chicago fans a bad memory just because of that memory. Isn't that the same year Bartman? That was the Cubs, right?
Yep. That's right.
It's the Bartman year.
I think the shot-off hit against Mariano, that must
Luis
have really
Gonzalez.
hurt. Oh, that
Walk-off.
one.
Well, and that was also, there was a lot going on that year. It's 2001. But, I mean, the Red Sox lost. That was...
Well, was it Game 7 a blowout, as I recall?
It was. So it's the long goodbye, which is the worst.
No, Sean is the worst for thinking things like this. That a Monday night loss to the White Sox in late August, which means next to nothing, is not on any list of worst Yankee losses. It's the worst Yankee loss on August 12th of 2024. That's it.
No, it's the worst loss of the season.
It can't be.
It can be because you got blown out by the worst team in the history of the sport, basically.
See, this is
that happens.
No, right. This is the problem, and I've had this conversation with my 10-year-old, so I'll have it now with you, grown-up Pat Boyle. You can't judge singular baseball games with value.
Okay, Mr. Gatekeeper Bogus.
You can't, though. It's one baseball game.
It's analytics.
It's not just one game. They're in the thick of an AL East division race, and they just got annihilated by literally a double-A ball club.
Wait, but weren't they on a skid at one point where they had the worst record in baseball over 6 weeks? Like, the Yankees
but they're
have
out of
seen
that.
some...
But they're out of that.
That's what I'm saying. Like, any one of those losses when they were piled on top of each other had to be way more problematic and way more disconcerting than this one-off. You're right. They're out of it. Stanton's healthy. Soto's Judge is about to hit his 300th home run. You're fine.
Yeah, but then you get your teeth kicked in by a team who's been getting their teeth kicked in on a nightly basis.
Well, tell them not to go out the night before.
All right, so
I don't know.
If they get swept, then you can go back and look at this game.
Right. It's got to be at least a series, if not longer than that. One game in baseball is so minuscule.
Yeah, but even if you win 110 games, like
you
that
lose
doesn't
50
mean anything.
times.
Doesn't mean a single thing for the playoffs.
Bogus,
Nothing.
your argument is so dumb and dull.
I'm on Team Bogus. So you guys are way overestimated.
Baseball, it's 162. I know how many games are in a baseball season. That doesn't
How
mean
many meters is it?
We actually established Pat's the only one who can do math on this show.
The Braves last night outlasted the Giants 1-0 in 10. Starters Chris Sale and Blake Snell combining for 13 and a third scoreless innings with 23 Ks.
Worst loss ever by the San Francisco Giants.
I actually think they're not going to play anymore this year. That was it. They've just given up. Let's keep an eye on this story. WNBA star and 3-on-3 Olympian Dearica Hamby is suing the league and the Las Vegas Aces for mistreating her when she was pregnant. The federal suit filed yesterday says Hamby was the victim of repeated discrimination, intimidation, and retaliation, a lot of it from head coach Becky Hammon. The WNBA is a defendant because Hamby says the league did not run a proper investigation and didn't do enough when it only suspended Hammon for 2 games.
Man, what do you know what she's alleging? What evidence she has of this?
Evidence, I don't know. The allegations are that Hammon in particular, told her that she messed up by getting pregnant, that she lied to them by signing a contract and then getting pregnant, which she couldn't then live up to.
Right.
There were things that apparently that Hammon said to her that were not true, that she knew she was pregnant when she signed the contract and stuff like that. So
they accuse her of lying.
I don't know if there are recordings. I don't know if there are texts, but the allegations against Becky Hammon specifically are not good at all.
Yeah, and she already served a 2-game suspension, so there's already some admission that Hammon was in the wrong.
Right.
Yep.
It's not pretty.
Thing. And it's probably going to end, I would imagine, in some kind of settlement.
Right.
Which is probably the smart thing to do, because you don't want a league, particularly one that celebrates women, to be wrapped up in something like this.
She was also traded, by the way, either during the pregnancy or after having the child, and she believes she was traded because of that.
That's going to be hard to prove, but yeah.
The Toronto Maple Leafs are expected to change captains. Austin Matthews taking over for John Tavares. That is long overdue. Pete, payback for Tavares leaving his Islanders.
Still a bunch of losers.
Thank you. And it appears that we'll get no clarification on the best 3-on-3 men's basketball in the world anytime soon. IceCube's Big 3 challenged the Netherlands gold medal winning squad to some action. They accepted, but FIBA's messing things up.
FIBA's scared of the Big 3. So FIBA's preventing them from playing in our All-Star game. So don't look like it's going to happen because of that. You know, it sucks when politicians get in the way of sports and fandom.
But the offer does still stand.
We'll play them anywhere they want to play, any rules they want to play with. We still think we got the best 3-on-3 players in the world.
That's funny. Any rules? It's like,
Right.
well, blindfolded.
Let's go 5-on-5 full court. No, I can't do that one.
I mean, come on. Let them play. Right? Come on, FIBA. Take a seat.
I mean, if we're going to race Noah Lyles and Tyreek Hill, you got to keep 3-on-3
Honestly,
on the radar, right?
We have such an appetite, maybe sports betting, but we have such an appetite now for all competition. Like, why any governing body is standing in the way of anything, to me, is silly. You get more exposure for your smaller sports in non-Olympic years.
Except for one situation that we described earlier in the show.
Bear versus shark?
Michael Phelps versus a shark. That's when you need FIBA and regulators to get involved.
More regulations.
If it's not life-threatening, then let's play ball.
I just love it that it's like the two people that you normally would not put together, which would be IceCube and a team from the Netherlands. Like that to me, make interesting bedfellows. But I think he's right. Come on, FIBA, just get out of the way.
Yeah,
Move.
and the specific threat apparently is FIBA would not let the Netherlands be in the 3-on-3 European Cup if they did this Big 3 challenge.
I mean, just we can't have
The things we're missing, all those puns. Now going international.
I mean, IceCube, if he can't bring people together, I mean, what you got? Snoop Dogg is basically the ambassador of the Olympics. Flava Flav is out here trying to make up to Jordan Chiles by giving her a bronze medal made out of a clock. IceCube now wants to bring together the Netherlands to play.
And Rashard Lewis.
The only rappers are our greatest ambassadors right now. Move away actual politicians. Let's let the rap community take care of everything. Well, I don't know why we were so slow to this. Yeah, EJ.
Who has a better chance? Tyreek Hill racing Lyles or 50-year-old Joe Johnson and Reggie Evans trying to beat, in their prime gold medal winning Netherlands 3-on-3 basketball?
What, ISO Joe?
In these insane Olympic rules where there's like 5 seconds to shoot. I'm sorry. I don't think that the Big 3 are winning this.
Didn't they call Joe Johnson Joe Jesus? Always there when you need him? I think so. I'm watching. I'm watching Noah Lyles and Tyreek Hill. I'm probably watching this 3-on-3 thing.
That's a real stretch on probably. You're not watching like the 3 tenors against Netherlands 3-on-3. You're not. Come on. I
gotta tell you right
Camarati, Luciano, the other guy.
You're not doing that.
Whatever.
Are you watching
Domingo?
the Big 3 right now on a regular Saturday or Sunday afternoon?
That's my business. That's what I'm doing.
I'll tell you one thing. Big 3-on-3 was the most disappointing sport of the Olympics. That is like watching paint dry.
I'll give you something. Sorry, not to just move on that. I've been to a 3-on-3, IceCube's 3-on-3 tournament. Attended in person.
On purpose?
I was in Vegas. And it was the first time I ever saw Cardi B. I was unfamiliar with her work. And she was just on the come up. And she performed at halftime of one of the games. And somebody, as she was walking through the tunnel, someone from the top of the arena shouted down to her, "Cardi!" And she just looked at him, turned around, and shook her butt a little bit, and then kept walking. And they loved it.
What do you think?
You're welcome, America.
How much money would it take for Cardi B to perform at the Big 3 again?
Yeah, this
all
was
of the money, maybe.
This was the same year that she has to own the league. This was the same year. This was the same weekend as the Mayweather-McGregor fight. So whatever that was.
What a weekend you had.
I did.
And you paid for all that?
Sports Illustrated paid for that.
Oh, okay. You're on assignment. That makes it much better.
But I went frugally to try to save the company money, and I stayed at a Hampton Inn off the Strip, and I only ate at In-N-Out Burger. So it wasn't like a baller vacation for me.
Like 3 days straight of In-N-Out Burger?
I was there for 48 hours. 2 days straight.
That's all you ate?
It was across the street from the hotel. Yes.
Are we still on air?
Quick, EJ Curtis.
Sorry. That Cardi B story, maybe I should have kept to myself. Okay. It's called Boots on the Ground Reporting, guys. Look it up.
What are we doing right now?
We're going to break. And then we're coming back. And then we've got more fun things for you. It's Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
And in the end zone is a Minnesota touchdown. Yep, you knew they were going to do it. The fans knew they were going to do it. The Dallas Cowboys knew they were going to do it. You knew they were going to do it.
Talk a little old school, new school NFL broadcasters. Today's old school versus new school debate. Welcome to the show, Maggie. Great, Andrew Perloff. And Perloff went with the old school. When you hear the Madden and Summerall, it's hard not to get nostalgic. But I also think the new school guys, the Gus Johnsons, the Ian Eagles, the Kevin Harlans, I think they are just as good as the guys from yesteryear. Just a little different. Just different.
Yeah. But if you're asking what's better, the new school style or the old school style, I like the old school. Let's have a party. Let's do this thing. I don't need analytics. I don't need fourth down statistics. I can look that up on the internet.
Win probabilities.
Yeah. And you know who actually is getting a little old school in his delivery? Tony Romo now feels old school because he's getting loose around the left turn. And I enjoy it a little more than some people. Everyone's criticizing him. I think it's kind of funny, actually. I'm more of a fan of unusual. I don't really, if Tom Brady is going to approach this like a science experiment, I don't want to hear that. I want Tom Brady if Tom Brady was a star quarterback in the 70s, he would have his tie loose. He'd have a few drinks. Yeah. He'd be out there telling it like it is. That's not what we're going to get. And you know it.
Probably not. And listen, Brady, I think I don't know if he's a perfectionist, but I think he's... Because, it'd be hard to...
He's the perfectionist.
No, I know, but, there's also... You couldn't live and die nothing's perfect, especially not in football. He knows that more than anybody, and definitely not in broadcasting.
But he's famous for trying to make everything perfect, down to avocado ice cream.
No, I
You know
get
what
it.
I mean? He is Mr. Perfection. That's why... But
he's got to roll with the punches here. And I think that...
Which he did. He's done a little bit. You saw him at the roast. He was rolling with the punches. He's sort of letting his guard down a little.
I think that he's going to be successful if he appears to be honest, if he can critique people in a way that is, feels genuine, where it's not going to be mean-spirited or anything like that, but he has the gravitas to be able to critique anyone, whether it's quarterbacks, whether it's defenses. He's seen it all and done it all. So that, and if he tells good stories and if he works things in, hey, when I was doing this, if we learn a little something that maybe we didn't know about a guy who's been in our life for 25 years.
Well, everyone who plays with Tom Brady always says he's such a great guy. He used to chug beers and all that stuff. I want to see that Tom Brady, just like a hangout. All that you described would be great, but I just want him to be a normal person.
See, I think Romo, it's interesting you bring this up. We're talking about old school broadcasters versus new school. It's such a fine line because I think Romo's a little too loose.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And you're going the Super Bowl overtime. You can't jump the call. Is he 5 years into this, 4 years into broadcasting?
Yeah.
You have to know at least that technical aspect of you've got to let Nance do. What was the great call that Nance had? It's so great. I don't remember. It was jackpot or whatever. It was a Vegas reference. And you've got to just let the crowd do their thing for a few seconds and do the crowd noise and let it sink in that the Chiefs just won the Super Bowl and then come in and tell us about it. Romo's got to know that by now. It's like 101.
Yeah, but Romo was getting killed all season long, and then he had a perfectly fine, normal Super Bowl.
Except for that end, right?
Nobody walked away criticizing Tony Romo after that. Honestly, everyone's like, oh, man. I think people were disappointed that Romo didn't screw up. And that, to me, that was a subtlety. I don't even remember that. Honestly, Romo, I remember coming in and I was like, oh, Romo's going to ruin this game. And Romo just kept it completely normal. Give me the other Romo.
Think where the bar is now. This guy's getting paid $17 million or whatever. And the bar's please don't ruin the game.
Listen, Romo's a fine analyst. Reality, he's totally fine. We're just looking for things to nitpick.
855-212-4227. I'm going to maybe disagree with you there, but we're talking about you can go vote at Maggie and Pearl on X. Old school broadcasters, new school broadcasters, where do you fall? Because, I get the nostalgia play, but the guys today are not only are they awesome, I think they're loose. We played you before, Kevin Harlan calling the streaker on the field and stuff like that. They get into it. Can I update a couple more polls, or you want to say something?
I have a quick update too, but go ahead.
Go ahead.
What do you got? Well, I actually put out a question. Do you know who Skeets Nehemiah is? Former NFL player, former hurdler. And a lot of people ask if my coworkers work in sports. They're very curious. So how did you not know who Ronaldo Nehemiah was? I got that from multiple people.
Listen, I think that the conversation got a bit derailed in that instance.
Yeah, but it's still I think to this point, Pat Boyle said he still doesn't know who Ronaldo Nehemiah is because he was so caught up.
Well, and now he'll know because he's seen the cover of Sports Illustrated. Couple more for you. So the old school announcers winning this poll, 90-10. What do you prefer? You can go vote. Jim Harbaugh says he didn't feel a 4.4 magnitude earthquake in Southern California yesterday. Do you believe him? So far, 60% say yes, 40% say no. A little update for you there. If Billy Wagner makes the Hall of Fame, which team's hat is he wearing on his plaque? The Astros are winning that, going away 71%. And would Tyreek Hill have a chance to beat Noah Lyles in a 100-meter race? 73% say no.
You didn't read the old school, new school on the broadcaster.
90-10.
Oh, you did read it. Yeah. I missed that one. I was so focused on the Jim Harbaugh earthquake poll.
How did he not feel it? Thank you to Pat Boyle. Thank you to Pete Pilati, EJ Stewart, Andrew Bogush, Andrew Kaplan, Weedos, Coffee Drinkers. You guys are the best. See you tomorrow.